You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver media podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum, and the Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Oh, we have a blurry beaver, and he lost all his sound. Well, that's a terrible thing. Yeah, you might have to jump in and out, sir, because you're completely pixelated. We can barely see you. You're very blurry. Coming in a little bit better now. I don't know if you have sound yet, though. Can you hear me? It looks like we've got no sound. Hang on a sec. No, we've lost Mr. Beaver's audio for some reason. Blurry Beaver, and we lost his audio. Just give us a sec, folks. Here, we apologize. Again, technical issues. Sometimes this does happen. Lately, it's been happening a lot. Okay, he's going to reboot, and we'll have him back in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, I'll just try and kick us off with welcome to the show. Here we are. Once again, my friends, to the show that never ends. Come inside, come inside. That's an old lyric. I believe it was it the Moody Blues or was that Emerson, Lake and Palmer? I always mix that up. Not sure where the lyric came from. So Mr. Beaver's going to jump in and out. He'll be back shortly. I have my road sign's a little off. Kilter, out. It's out of whack. I got to fix that. And you notice the pink accent lighting in the background. Really what that is, folks, I'll show you how the sausage is made. I'm going to move out of the way here a little bit, and you can see it's just a couple of lights on a tripod. All it is. Nothing sophisticated or even complicated. It's just, how we are. So it's a Friday morning, and we've got lots to talk about. And I was going to start the show off with Mr. Beaver's going to start the show off. He had a few things he wanted to talk about right off the top. But as things have gone a little bit sideways, I'm going to pull up a graphic for you. I got a couple of graphics I wanted to start the show off with, and then Mr. Beaver was going to dive straight in on a few topics. And then I've got some video for you a little bit later about how, well, let's just say Skippy's about to have a bad week, I think. I think when you see the video, you'll understand. We're gonna give you bits and pieces of it because it's 6 minutes long. We don't want to run a video for 6 minutes, but we will give you clips of it. And it is rather incendiary, to say the least. But this is Theo Modakis' political cartoon for the Toronto Star here on a Friday. For those of you listening, it is a photo, a cartoon of two people in spacesuits, effectively, with a bright, shining sun. It says Canada, the future. The end came pretty quickly after that guy was elected. And of course, it's a picture of Pierre Poilievre with his rolled up sleeves in his jacket, t-shirt, no glasses, slick back hair that says "Stop the carbon tax." I think it's a pretty apropos political cartoon. Kind of hits right on the mark. And sticking with the Skippy theme, some more information for you. Here's one. Remember the priceless ads from MasterCard? Well, this is a good one. Leadership fee, $200,000. Compliance fee, $100,000. Spending limit, $7 million. Skip debates, $50,000. Pay to oust competitor, $37,000. Steal leadership race, priceless. Now, I didn't make up that graphic, but boy, did I laugh at it when I saw it. Because it seems to be pretty accurate, if you ask me. Let me clear my throat. You remember the other day we had a bit of an issue. We didn't have an issue. There was an issue with a political figure in the United States of America, Mr. Mitch McConnell. He stepped up to the microphone and had a complication. He started to speak and then he sort of froze like a deer in the headlights. And it seemed to be, I thought it was a TIA, transischemic, basically a mini stroke. They happen to a lot of people, and they happen to people at any age, surprisingly. I didn't know this, but I learned this. It can happen to children. Anyway, I thought it was a TIA. We don't know what it was. They've kept mum about it, which, it's his health. He can, I mean, he's a terrible human being, but he has the right to privacy when it comes to his health care. But I saw this graphic online, and I thought, okay, I'm going to hell, because it's really funny, and I could not stop laughing. I'm chuckling. I don't even have it on the screen, but when you see it. So Mitch McConnell the other day, when he froze at the microphone, there was a ton of speculation about what had happened. Is he having a stroke? Was it a TIA? Was it this? Was it that? Did his batteries just wind down? Because, people think he's a robot. And then I saw this graphic this morning that I'm about to launch, and here it is on the screen in a second or two. And it's Mitch frozen at the microphone, in quotation marks. These edibles ain't shit. 45 minutes later, frozen at the microphone. Mr. Beaver, can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I think there's a little delay on my video, however, so... Oh,
Yeah,
no,
there's
I
a
think
delay.
we're all up to speed now. Yep, there's a small one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I see you were talking about Mitch.
Yes.
Yes, resting
Yes.
Mitch face. Yes.
And how it's, and I mean, come on, that graphic is hilarious. These edibles ain't shit. 45 minutes later, frozen like a deer in the headlights. I'm going to hell for laughing at this, but it's really funny.
The quip is fun. The situation,
yes. What happened
probably
to him
not
is,
as much.
No, but the quip is funny,
Yeah.
because it's like, come on, that's funny. I know it's terrible of me to laugh at it, but it's funny. It is.
All right, kids. I am sorry. I do not know what is happening, but absolutely every day for the last 2 weeks, my computer has borked, and for some reason, it seems to like to do it during the show. I do not know why. So let's try this. Well, hello, kids. Oh. I am not going to be able to do this show today.
I'm sorry. The look on his face. Anyone familiar with kids? Dude pooped. Sorry. Go ahead.
I heard that one. Please. I heard that one too when he came back out X minutes later. See, all he needed to do was change his drawers.
I didn't hear that one.
Yeah. Okay, let's try this. Well, hello, kits and cubs. Not in the right order today.
Welcome to season 3 and episode number 173. Yesterday I was wrong. It was 172, not 171, of the Daily Beaver Morning Show here on the Crier Media Network. Today, recording day, is Friday, July 28th, 2023. And according to the Weather Network, it's going to be a scorcher here at the Beaver Lodge with the heat index hitting 37 degrees Celsius. Which I don't know if you talked about it because I know you mentioned talking about heat yet. But I'm going to interrupt my intro to present this, which you have probably heard already.
Scientists, it is unequivocal.
Come on, computer, work with me today. Sorry, Kits, I'm a little frustrated.
No,
but this right here, Kits, Mr. Grizzly, if you will put it up.
Yes, please.
It is the Secretary General of the United Nations. I'm hoping it's up because I don't see it on my screen. Antonio Guterres, basically ringing the alarm like he has been doing forever. But here we go.
And for scientists, it is unequivocal. Humans are to blame. All this is entirely consistent with predictions and repeated warnings. The only surprise is the speed of the change. Climate change is here, it is terrifying, and it is just the beginning. The era of global warming has ended, the era of global boiling has arrived. The air is unbreathable, the heat is unbearable, and the level of fossil fuel profits and climate inaction is unacceptable. Leaders must lead.
Okay. So just putting that out there, we'll talk about a few things there, but 37 heat index by Lake Ontario. Where there is breeze and water and cool air. So, there's an airport in Iran this month where temperature recorded at the airport hit 66.7.
Humans can't survive that.
When he says the boiling era is here, dude's not lying. I'm your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver A, and with me as always is my dear friend, Mr. Grizzly, who thankfully was able to open the show. Thank you, sir. Of course, a big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, The Pepper Master, The Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, and CanadianTarot.com. We have a Friday morning bite for you. Mr. Grizzly, how's your mental health today? Mine is I am being challenged by the universe, I will admit.
Yeah, yours is definitely being tested this morning. So I've been struggling this week, struggling for the last couple of weeks, which sucks because I'm on vacation. But the brain just picks its time and it doesn't correspond with your schedule ever. But currently, a very dear friend of mine is in town visiting, and we got a chance to hang out yesterday. And as I said, yesterday, right after we finished, we went for a good swim, had a really good time. Went to the pond. You know where the pond is, and yeah, and the water was perfect, like perfect. Okay. There's a decent crowd of people there, so we stayed there for a couple hours, and then we went for a hike in the Gatineaus, and we're going to go up to where the geographic that stone cairn is, where it's a lookout point and you can see all of the Ottawa Valley.
Yes.
It's a really good hike. I think it's a 5 or 6 kilometer loop, and it's challenging terrain both up and down, but it's a good hike. And when you get up to the top, I've never seen anybody stand there for less than 30 minutes because the view, it's the entire Ottawa Valley. You can see way up to Quebec. You can see all the windmills that are, 40 kilometers south of Ottawa. There's tons of them. I had no idea they were there until I got up until this lookout a couple of years ago. Anyway, we tried to drive there. The parkway was shut down. Gatineau Parkway. Couldn't get on it. So we could not get there. So we ended up driving. I said, well, look, I know where there's a good hiking trail. So we just drove to Wakefield and did a hike through the bush there. and then came back and stopped at the Chelsea pub and had a snack. And the Chelsea pub has been expanded. They added a second level, and it's a lot larger now. And I didn't know, like I hadn't been in there because I used to ski all the time at Camp Fortune, and on the way back from Camp Fortune, we'd stop in for a bite to eat at the Chelsea pub. And last year I didn't ski at Fortune. I skied at Edelweiss.
Okay.
And the year before, I only got out to Fortune twice because the conditions were weird, and we stopped in quickly. But I didn't take note of this new addition they put on, and we didn't stay long either time. We just, because it was packed, so went in, grabbed a quick snack, and all right, let's get out of here. It's too busy. So yesterday, I go to use the facilities, and I remember the facilities. You go around the corner and just down this little hallway, and there was a men's and a woman's. And yesterday, I go, where's the hallway? Basement? What? I go down. Toilets are in the basement now. So I come back up and I go, what is at the top of this staircase? There's a whole second level I didn't even know existed. And they expanded their deck.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the deck wraps around and it's covered. So all the sliding windows are completely opened up. So it's just this giant open space. Then they built a new deck off to this. I'm like, because I'm always there in the winter. I don't often go in the summer. So it's been a while since I've been there in the summertime. And I'm like, it's really been expanded, and oh my God, the place is just awesome. It's just an awesome spot. Yeah. So if you ever have a chance when you're in the Ottawa area, venture over to La Belle Province du Québec and stop in at the Chelsea pub for maybe a beverage. I had a really good Belgian blonde, non-alcoholic beverage from was it Unibrew? No. It's a Montreal brewery. Its name is escaping me right now. But it wasn't Unibrew, though. It wasn't Unibrew.
Oh, okay.
But it was a really good non-alcoholic Belgian blonde. And I can't remember the name of it now. It's driving me crazy. It was fruity, but a little bit of hoppy, like just a which is not normal for a blonde. But it had just enough hops to let you know that, hey, we know that we've got no alcohol in us, but we taste like a beer should taste. And I was like, yeah, you do. It was good. Yeah. I was driving, right? So,
Yes. Wow. Wonderful. That sounds like a beautiful day.
Yeah, we had a great day. And then, of course, he's like, so we're driving, we'd hiked, I don't know, about 4 or 5 kilometers. And, after swimming in the pond for, kind of tired, it's a lot of exercise.
Yeah.
So we're driving back. I drop him off and I park the car and I go and I'm like, I got to take a nap. He's like, yeah. So take a nap for like a bit. And we met back up at like 7 o'clock. We're like, all right, let's go to dinner. So, we trying to determine, so let's go to this place. We get in, the guy goes, yeah, we're closing at 8:30. I'm like, that's not going to work. Went to a Korean barbecue place just up the street from me and met up with a couple other buddies and then had dinner. They closed at 9:30. We were the last, we got out of there at like 9:45. They were kind enough to, I want you out at 9:45. Like, yeah, no problem. Finish up here, Bill, and we went to Sir John A. McDonald pub. Just the Sir John A. On Elgin Street, and 4 of us sat and reminisced about, because my buddy's been gone from Ottawa for about 10 years. So we talked about parties and places and things, a little reminiscing, a little talking about how our lives are today. And it was a really fun evening. I didn't get to bed till about 12:30. So I was a little groggy crawling out of bed at 5 a.m. this morning. But, I'm on vacation, so plenty of time to sleep eventually.
Yeah.
But I am going to unplug today after the show. And when I say unplug, I will post some stuff because I'm going to the football game tonight. I will post some things, but I'm not reading a damn thing online for the next 2 days. Like nothing. I'm ignoring everything. So I'm coming into the show on Monday. A news virgin. I'm just giving you the heads up on that now. I won't look at a damn thing until we go live. I just need to unplug it for my mental health because we've just been so inundated with everything lately. And I've probably spent more time on my vacation reading stuff that otherwise I wouldn't, because when you go out of town on a vacation, you don't care about what's going on in the world. But because my travel plans were scuttled, it was kind of like a staycation. And don't get me wrong, I've had a very relaxed, and I'm good to go back to work on Monday. I'm okay with it. Sometimes, people, I'm not ready. I could use another week. I'm like, no, 3 weeks has been good. It's been a good rest, a break. I have no idea what's going on at work. I don't even care. I'll find out Monday morning, And that's the point of a vacation. Unplug from work altogether. But I've been too plugged into social media and the news lately, and I need to unplug for the next couple of days. So you'll see some posts from me. I'm not responding to anything from anybody unless it's my mom or dad or an emergency. Otherwise, if you send me a message over the next 2 days, I apologize in advance. I'm not responding to anything until Monday. Okay. So don't take it personally. It's me literally unplugging from everything, which is much needed right now.
Yep, I agree. Before we talk more about the heat, since you talked about Mitch McConnell, I want to show the video because,
Yeah.
it's easy to make jokes about,
Mhm.
He pooped or, wow,
The edibles kicked in.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's when the acid kicked in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it should be seen because, well, it's concerning.
Mm.
Let's just say that it's concerning because, and I've heard this on another podcast, so it sounds like I'm repeating or stole what they said, but I don't like the guy
No, I don't
at
either.
all.
No.
At all. I wish he were gone.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be sad at all if he, not that I would wish for a health issue
No.
to hit anyone, but should a health issue come along, I mean, the man is 81, happened to come along to say, maybe it's time for you to tap out.
Step away.
That would not make me cry.
Mm-hmm.
I'd, send best wishes to the family and all that kind of stuff, but that would not make me cry. But this was, let's just play it, Mr. Grizzly. If you see it, it's concerning.
Is it just before we go to just before we go to the tape?
Ooh.
Is it a lifetime of evil doing and karma's finally decided, okay, I've had enough of your shit?
Possible, but only the good die young.
Yeah.
So
let's go to tape.
Anyway, let's go to the tape. All right. Again, not sure if you see it because I don't on my screen.
It may show up on the YouTube feed. I got the feed live on another screen here, so just let me see. I don't know if you can see this, Kits. Let us know because it's just showing up blank for us. Yeah, it's there. It's blurry, but it's there.
Okay.
So go
I
ahead.
do not know why this is happening. This
I
is
don't know.
also this started happening around the same time the computer.
No, this is
working.
this is a restream thing. Is what this is.
Yeah. This is new from Restream.
Yes,
okay.
it is. Yeah.
You want to click it? So it is showing, and is it clear now on the YouTube?
Just go ahead and press play.
Okay. Well, people say they see it. I see it in the comments. Okay, so we'll play it.
Yeah.
Now, already the walk to that podium is not the most stable.
No.
Okay, that was concerning right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
Yes.
that is scary.
Yeah, it is. I'm like, I remember I watched it the other day, and I'm like, I think he's having a stroke. Except some of this, like it might. I think more if it's TIA and not a full stroke, because a full stroke there's other issues.
Yeah, exactly. And like, he's not stable. He's grabbing onto things.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point like right about here, begin before he starts. His mouth.
Yeah.
Is not aligned. There's a. So that was the first thing that I was wondering as well. A TIA.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And let me get the TIA is it's
trans-ischemic attack or something.
Thank you. TIA online. Come on, give me the TIA. Whoops, I don't want that. Just
TIA. So
Transient ischemic attack, a stroke that lasts only a few minutes. It occurs when the blood supply to part of the brain is briefly interrupted. TIA's symptoms, which usually occur suddenly, are similar to those of a stroke, but do not last as long. So I'm convinced it's TIA, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor as well. But
Mini
I'm
TIA.
I'm sitting there. When he was stalled, he was sort of like swaying a bit side to side, but his eyes were like sort of
Mhm.
something happened there. Now, a lot of the comments is that he went into another room and then he came back a couple minutes later and then finished it off, like a pro and all that kind of stuff. But everybody's making the comment. So let it be known now that if you are a Republican and if you are having an incident like that, nobody's going to come and help you.
Certainly seems like it, yeah.
Nobody is going to bring you to a hospital or get you medical help, or just going to wait till you walk it off and come back. And so I don't know if when he went to that other room, if there was somebody there or whatever. But it certainly didn't look like that the health was the number one priority. Winning was, or attacking Biden or something, but not that. It's concerning. It's concerning. And it is really interesting considering that the debate has been for the last, 4 years about Joe Biden being weak and sleepy and slow and not sharp. We have Senator Dianne Feinstein, who just the other day, apparently in committee, was asked a yes or no question. And when she heard her name, decided to start reading her statement from her notes as if it was the opening of a session. Someone needs to tell her.
Yeah.
Because she thinks that she's still fine. Mitch McConnell, when he emerged from the room, a reporter asked him, "What happened?" And he responded, "I'm fine." That is not an answer to the question.
No.
We're glad you're fine, but what happened was the question. And if you're the party out there saying that Joe Biden is sleepy and his mental health is not there, and you have a moment like that happen, and let's not forget that Mitch McConnell fell once this year, leading to him having a concussion, and he's fallen twice since.
Yeah. I think he's approaching end of life.
Okay.
I could be way wrong, but
we could be wrong. We don't know, but
we don't know.
It puts all the discussion about Joe Biden's mental health and fitness into some pretty interesting context, because Mitch McConnell is not looking well. As Chris Christie pointed out when Donald Trump made comments about his weight, Donald Trump isn't exactly the paragon of health and fitness. And then you have Joe, who just a couple days ago was out on a beach in his swim trunks with his wife and had no shirt on, and was perfectly happy to have a picture taken of himself with no shirt on at the age he's at. Perfectly fine with it. Who's in shape?
Yeah.
Who's in better health? Right. So part of this also, I mean, it's sad, but it's also an example of we're just going to say anything about someone. He's old, so let's paint him as frail and broken and whatnot, while they're the ones who can't stay upright.
Yeah.
So there's probably going to be more to come from this, because unfortunately today in politics, things like this take up all the news time on our news channels rather than policy. It's the soap opera, the daily drama. So we're probably going to hear more about this. Now, Kits, getting back to the heat, and the weather and the climate and all of that. Antonio Guterres put out that statement And we are seeing the temperatures, like we said, 66 at that airport in Iran. I saw the comment through the chat, and it is true. In Arizona, there was a woman in a wheelchair who somehow fell out of her wheelchair onto the pavement and was there for about 5 minutes before someone found her. And she had third-degree burns all over her body.
Yeah.
People in Arizona are burning their hands touching doorknobs.
Yeah, you need to wear gloves all the time now.
That's how hot it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
We're going to have to start getting rid of metal doorknobs.
Well,
door handles.
It's like, let me just pull this up again. I'll show it quickly because it's freaky to me. No, I'm going to put this on the screen. You can see that right there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Wait, is it? Look at the humidity is 100%. The sun is shining. Usually 100% humidity means it's raining. The sun is shining and there's not a cloud in the sky right now in downtown Ottawa. So please explain to me how that strangeness is possible, because I've seen 100% humidity, gray overcast, maybe a little bit of drizzle or some haze. Right now it's the sun. I had to close the curtains and I had to close my bedroom door because the sun is shining so brightly that it was sort of washing out the background. Like, yeah. And I think what did they say the forecast is for today? It's going to be very, very hot. I can tell you that. Currently, it's 20 degrees and it feels like it's 28. And it's, what are we? It's quarter to 8 in the morning. The air temperature is supposed to hit 28 today, which is, that's normal for Ottawa.
Yeah.
And we're looking at 35, 36, 37 degrees with the humidity, which again is not out of line for Ottawa at this time of the year. As you well know, that's very normal for us.
Right.
And, I was out walking around with my buddy last night and I go, ooh, I think it's cooled down a bit, And he goes, yeah, it feels a little bit cooler. I pull up my phone and I go, oh yeah, it's gone down from 37 to 35 with the humidity. But honest to goodness, that 2-degree difference, I could feel it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. You can feel it. But
37 is your body temp, right?
Right.
So 35 is 2 degrees cooler than your body temp. So it will feel cooler, but hey, what's the cartoon from a few years ago? The kids sitting around in a dystopian future. It says, well, they did ruin the planet, but they did increase funds for shareholders for a little while there.
Yeah.
It's a great market.
Yeah, great market. So what you're saying too about the humidity matters because our bodies are pretty good at self-regulating. We sweat, our veins dilate, they constrict to keep us cool. But if you're a senior, and we talked about it on a previous show, but certain medications that you take as you're getting older makes it harder for that to regulate. And just being on your own, just getting older, makes it so that you sweat less. So seniors are particularly at risk. In one study, researchers believed that 95 degrees Fahrenheit at 100% humidity, or 115 degrees Fahrenheit at 50% humidity is the maximum a human could endure before they could not adequately regulate their own body temperature. And that's for healthy, young individuals. So humidity matters because it changes, right? That's a difference of 20 degrees Fahrenheit that you can tolerate depending on the humidity. But a 2002 Penn State study found that it was really 87 degrees Fahrenheit, and I forgot to translate those into Celsius, so I'm not exactly sure what the 87, 95, and 115 are. But if we're not changing our behaviors, what we do in the sun, if we still go jogging and playing tennis and playing golf in that weather, the risk to which people put themselves with prolonged heat exposure can cause permanent damage. So it's not just a question of like, oh my God, I got a little heat stroke-ish, stay at home, rest, hydrate, replenish my electrolytes. If you do it repeatedly, you can cause heart damage, kidney damage. So if you're exercising in this weather, watch out.
What did you say the temperatures were again? 87, 95, and 115?
Yes.
87 is 30.5 degrees.
Okay.
35 is 35 degrees. 115 is 46.
Okay, so at 30.5, which we get
frequently, yeah,
without heat index, That's already a temperature at which some bodies can't.
Well, it's going to be
Healthy young
28.
bodies can't
It's predicted to be 28 today. It could get hotter than that.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So sweating and losing a lot of fluid alters your electrolytes, which can trigger arrhythmias and can ultimately cause a heart attack as well. And this temperature is affecting a lot of things. So, when we talked about touching doorknobs and burning your hand, scientists are also saying that high temperatures are affecting the ground in the manner such that buildings and subway systems, like the one in Chicago, for example, are releasing heat, which is warming and deforming the actual ground on which we've built the structures.
And they're sinking.
Yes. So known as subsurface heat islands, they can make those structures distort, tilt, or crack. So changes to building codes, of course, and now we need better materials and all that kind of stuff. A few weekends ago, and not too long ago, I think there was 200 new wildfires that started in BC. A couple of weeks ago, after they had started calming down a bit. I think over the last weekend or something, there was 75,000 lightning strikes that hit the ground in Canada. So when all they're saying all those forest fires couldn't have been caused by lightning, 75,000.
I think there were something like I don't know if you know the figure on this, Ree, or not. But a couple of days ago, the storm that took place in Nova Scotia, the lightning strikes there were I saw the map of it as the storm came in, and there were thousands of them. I don't know what the figure was, but there were thousands of them. It was just outrageous.
Now, heat is a major public health concern. Study shows that it kills more people than hurricanes and tornadoes combined. NASA scientists claims that we have not seen the worst of El Nino. Right now, we are in an El Nino cycle. This is the first year. Usually they last 5 years. El Nino cycles actually warm the Earth more than it normally would be. So this is the first year, and this is what we're seeing. We've got about 4 more to go in this cycle before we get an El Nino, which cools things down. NASA scientists say we haven't seen the worst of it yet. According to the Red Cross, 400,000 people around the world have died of extreme heat over the past decade.
Wow.
400,000 over the last decade. And the rate is accelerating with every year. Like we said yesterday when we were talking about the shuffle, any party that does not have a serious climate change plan, climate change mitigation, addressing, adaptation plan, should not be in the business. Just should not be in the business. They should not be considered serious in any way, shape, or form. This is the hottest moment in 120,000 years, according to scientists, this last month of July.
That's not good. That's not good.
Yep. The 21 days with the highest global mean temperature since they've been recording temperatures all happened in the month of July 2023. Some scientists have concluded that we're entering a 6th mass extinction era. That it has started.
Well, there's a study here from the Guardian, an article in the Guardian Ellen just sent me a moment ago. It's Gulf Stream could collapse as early as 2025, a study suggests. A collapse would bring catastrophic climate impacts. But scientists disagree over the new analysis. You realize if the Gulf Stream collapsed, Europe is punched. They're done.
Yep.
The houses that they live in aren't built for a Canadian climate.
Oh, no.
And that Gulf Stream disappears, welcome to a Canadian climate. Yep. Extreme heat in the summer, extreme cold in the winter, and houses that are not insulated, have no AC. Unless you're living in a new house that's built to Canadian standards, you're done.
Yep. If you're in British Columbia, between Monday and Tuesday afternoon, 18 new wildfires started in that 24-hour period. The 75,000 lightning strikes that I mentioned about happened just recently. Those happened in a 10-day period.
Wow.
That's 7,500 lightning strikes on Canadian land per day for 10 days in a row. In North Africa, at least 34 people have died from heat in the past week. In British Columbia, again, a water meter near the Fraser River near Hope had a concerning reading, according to provincial hydrologist Jonathan Boyd. Approximately 120 years of recorded data, and the flows currently are well below anything they've ever experienced. That's British Columbia. That's water.
Yeah.
Right. The Canadian Interagency Forest Fire Center says that greater than 3,000 international forest firefighters have come to Canada this year so far. Over 4 times more land has burned this year than in a typical wildfire season in Canada. There are currently over 1,000 active wildfires, with 650 deemed to be out of control right now.
So they've brought that down because it was 900 the other day.
Yeah.
So they brought it on. That's good. That the number.
Well, it's 1,000 fires.
1,000 fires.
650 out of control.
No, the other day it was 900 out of control.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So they've brought that number down.
Fires.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. They brought the number down, so that's good. But still, it's
so
like, it's still July, folks.
Yeah. Scientists are saying that the temperatures this month on the globe will shatter the temperature rise limit of 1.5 degrees laid out in the Paris Climate Agreement.
Basically, we're past the tipping point. We're way beyond it. We're done. We're finished. Put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye.
For this year, Guterres says that it is still possible, but we really need to act fast. You got to throw everything you got at it.
Well, think of the early days of the pandemic. Throw everything you got at it to get a vaccine. Let's do this. Let's do this. And if we don't, we've got no world to come back to. Well, guess what? We're in the same situation, but this is a climate pandemic, and this affects every living, breathing species on the planet, not just humans, plants, insects, animals, and the most vicious animal of all, man.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing that that's scary. Have you ever heard the word Anthropocene?
Yes, I'm quite familiar with it.
For those who are not, the Anthropocene is a proposed geological epoch that dates from the beginning of significant human impact on Earth's geology and ecosystems, including anthropogenic climate change. It is the third worldwide division of the Quaternary period and is characterized as the time in which the collective activities of human beings began to substantially alter Earth's surface, atmosphere, oceans, and systems of nutrient cycling. It's derived from a Greek term and means the recent age of man. The Anthropocene defines Earth's most recent geologic time period as being human-influenced or anthropogenic based on overwhelming global evidence that atmospheric, geologic, hydrologic, biospheric, and other Earth systems processes are now altered by humans. Well, there is a lake in Canada, just outside Toronto, that apparently is so deep that sediment out of the bottom of the lake holds evidence of humanity's indelible impact of the planet. If they look at the layers of sediment on the ground. On Tuesday, July 11th, the Anthropocene Working Group released evidence that they believe shows the start of this new geological time period in the planet's 4.5 billion year history. Through climate change, pollution, and biodiversity loss, all have made an indelible impact on the world. They talk about this lake outside Toronto that they say is the location which marks this geological break. Crawford Lake is a 29-meter deep body of water, and it is this depth that makes it ideal for studying distinct historical environmental markers. Humanity's effect on Earth's atmosphere, soil, and biology are all preserved in the sediment that lays at its bottom. Quote, the sediments found at the bottom of Crawford Lake provide an exquisite record of recent environmental change over the last millennia, says Dr. Simon Turner, Secretary of the AWG from the University College London. Scientists believe they can pinpoint the exact start of the Anthropocene epoch by documenting what they call the golden spike in these layers of sediment. This is a sudden and dramatic, at least in geological terms, change in the conditions. Part of this spike is the presence of plutonium at the bottom of the lake. The element only occurs naturally in trace amounts, and so experts from the AWG concluded that it must have come from nuclear testing in the 1950s. The presence of plutonium gives us a stark indicator of when humanity became such a dominant force that it could leave a unique global fingerprint on our planet, says Professor Cundy from the University of Southampton, another member of the AWG. He explains that in samples taken around the world, unprecedented amounts of plutonium are seen in the 1950s when hydrogen bomb testing took place. We then see a decline in plutonium from the mid-1960s onwards when the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty came into effect. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm told it's Crawford Lake in the Milton area.
Yep, Crawford Lake. So, yeah, that makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah.
According to this article, and if you want to read it, it's in Euronews.com. It's called Anthropocene, This Lake in Canada Could Prove We've Entered a New Chapter in Earth's History. It ends off by talking about the Anthropocene. The name of the new epoch comes from the Greek terms for human and new other geological indicators proposed by scientists to show that it has begun to include microplastic pollution, high levels of ash from coal-fired power plants, and high concentration of fertilizers, all found in the bottom of a 29-meter lake. All of these pieces of potential evidence coincide with the Great Acceleration, a surge in human activity from transport to energy use that started in the mid-20th century. Evidence to officially declare that we are now in the Anthropocene is still being evaluated. Over the last 20 years, scientists have argued that humanity's impact on the planet means we have now entered this new distinct geological period. The AWG has now proposed marking the start date as sometime between 1950 and 1954, but other experts say that humans have existed for such a short time in Earth's history that this can't be defined as an epoch. If the evidence is accepted, it would mean a move out of the stable Holocene epoch that has spanned the last 11,700 years. So basically, the world that we knew before 1950 was coasting along nicely for 11,700 years, and then we decided that we had to do what we're doing today. Before final decision is made at a conference in 2024, the proposal must be approved by 3 different groups of geologists. So that scientists can't very rarely unanimously agree on everything. That might take a while. But here, Mr. Grizzly put it up there so you can include it as a link for people that want to go and check it out themselves. But yeah, remember that Bill Nye video?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Where he like lit up a little globe and said, "The planet is burning."
He wasn't lying.
Just saying. Just saying.
And
Maybe we should look up.
Yeah, well,
just look up. Look up.
This comment from Ree here, that there was a man in the late 1800s who discussed climate change. The industry ignored him and kept ignoring all following scientists who warned us. There was a report written in 1902, a well-detailed report saying that we are warming the earth, and if we don't do something to cut emissions, we could have a serious problem. He says perhaps in 100 years. Well, guess what? We're beyond that 100 years, and we are in deep shit.
Yeah. It's you're wondering why kids are depressed.
Mm-hmm.
You're wondering why the teens and Gen Z is depressed and angry. We kind of screwed them over.
It was a 1912 article, not 1902. My apologies. Let's see. The article is authentic. The text in the article originates from a March 1912 report in the magazine Popular Mechanics titled "Remarkable Weather of 1911: The Effect of the Combustion of Coal on the Climate. What Scientists Predict for the Future." The furnaces of the world are now burning 2 billion tons of coal a year. When this is burned, uniting with oxygen, it adds about 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere yearly. This tends to make the air a more effective blanket for the Earth and to raise its temperature. The effect may be considerable in a few centuries. It's a century later, basically 112 years later, and everything they said rings true.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll see if I can find a link to the article here, the original article. I've got it. Yeah, here it is. I will post it.
And if it's true that the Anthropocene started in 1950, for people that were alive then, who may be listening to the show, remember the weather in 1950? The climate? This is how much we've changed it in 73 years.
Mm-hmm.
73. Not even a century. When they say the Great Acceleration, they're not kidding.
Oh, this is the remarkable weather of 1911, the effect of the combustion of coal on the climate, what scientists predict for the future, by Francis Molina. The year 1911 will long be remembered for the violence of its weather. The spring opened mild and delightful, but in June a torrid wave of unparalleled severity swept over the country. The cities baked and gasped for breath, while the burning sun and hot winds withered the corn and cost the farmers $1 million a day.
Wow. In 1911? $1 million?
1911. Yeah.
Yeesh.
You know how much money that is by today's standards?
Sheesh. I'm going to go to the Bank of Canada calculator and figure that out.
It's just wild. News coverage of coal's linked to global warming in 1912. Scientific analysis pointing to role in warming the climate through burning fossil fuels goes back to 1896 with Svante, Svant, I don't know, and his surname is their surname. I don't know if it's a man or a woman. Arrhenius, Arrhenius. I don't know. Remarkable paper on the influence of carbonic acid, carbon dioxide in the air, upon the temperature of the ground. I think I have a link to that. Yeah, I do. I'll post this as April 1896 for those of you who are interested. I'm going to put it in the link if you want to put that in the chat. If you want to click on that link, it is 1896. I'm like...
I went to the Bank of Canada calculator. They can't go back as far as 1911. 1914 is as far as it goes back. $1 million in 1914 is $26.2 million today.
And they lost that every day. Yeah. Yeah.
Let that sink in. We're not in a good place, people.
No, we're not.
We are not in a good place. And I hear Chat Tabby going, it's 8:15 here today, and I envy you. All right. From depressing news to uplifting news.
Oh?
Yes. There are more charges for the orange one. And again, we did not coordinate.
No.
This
is brown, but still.
Well, I see it more as like burnt orange. Or
that's
like
kind of what
orange.
it is, yeah. It's a burnt orange.
Yeah, burnt orange. That's a color that apparently my color palette is that I'm an autumn, so that would look fantastic.
And this, by the way, is not a name brand thing. I got this shirt from Temu, so it's definitely not name brand. They're just, I think they're trying to somewhat imitate TH.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm not saying his name. He ain't paying us. Screw him.
No.
You're not getting a shout out.
He ain't getting a shout out. South of us, there has been a superseding indictment in the documents case. Now, a superseding indictment is basically... superseding, like the word says, it's an indictment that comes on top of an indictment that already exists to add more stuff. So we already know that there were 37 charges against Mango Madness for willfully retaining national defense documents. Well, yes, Jen, super duper seeding.
Super duper seeding.
Super duper seeding. So there are 3 additional charges for Trump, 2 new obstruction of justice charges, and 1 willful retention of documents charges. Now, there is another indictee. Remember that little story I told you about the guy that was the maintenance worker, that Walt Nauda, who is Trump's Diet Coke valet, asked him, then this guy helped him to move boxes, and then they moved boxes together, but then this guy apparently was emptying the pool, and the pool kind of sort of allegedly accidentally got emptied into the storage room where all security camera footage was being stored.
How convenient.
Yeah. Well, it seems that this man, whose name is Carlos de Oliveira, was caught on that surveillance footage that the FBI did get, helping Walt Nauda move the boxes. And it seems that when that happened, Walt Nauda was actually with Trump on his way to Illinois when he suddenly doubled back to meet with Carlos Oliveira to move those boxes the day before federal prosecutors were coming to collect them.
These things happen. They happen.
These things happen. And apparently, they needed to have some conversations, and they needed a quiet space to do that. So apparently they actually went through bushes onto an adjacent property to have these conversations about not doing anything wrong.
Apparently, sometimes I don't watch the news because I'm a kid, and apparently Grandpa just gives me the remote after we watch the Powerball.
Woo! That's the Powerball. Yeah, Trump might be needing to buy some Powerball tickets. It might be the only way he might be able to afford all his legal fees.
Well, we, out last night for a drink with the boys, and we were talking about how it is entirely plausible that the next president of the United States could be an inmate, a federal inmate.
Yeah.
Because there's no rules or laws against it. I'm like, but inmates aren't allowed to vote in the United States of America. They are in Canada. And somebody said, that shouldn't be. And I'm like, well, the charter rights apply to all of us, or they apply to none of us. So figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
They have polling stations in prisons so that they can vote, because they have the right to vote as a Canadian citizen, period. You've committed a crime, but your rights are not robbed. Your right of freedom of movement is taken away from you, suspended. It's suspended for the duration of your sentence, because it's been determined that society says you've been a bad person. You need to go sit in the corner for a couple of years, but you still get the right to vote.
Yeah. Like Katavi and Olive not. I'm guessing an olive ought not to be helping the orange. Ought not a helping. So good play on words there. Good play on words. Words of my life. Now, here's the thing is that this Oliveira guy has also been charged with 4 counts. So conspiracy to obstruct justice, concealing an object, corruptly concealing a document, and false statements. And apparently, in the actual conversation, quote, the boss wanted the server deleted, because nothing says that you're mafioso like having your underlings refer to you as the boss.
Mm-hmm.
But the boss wanted the server deleted, which means that there was a conversation somewhere between Trump and Oliveira where he said, you need to get this done. I don't care how you do it. And apparently, when Nauda went to Oliveira and says the boss wanted the server deleted, and I guess somebody is being referred to as Trump employee number 4, Nauda said to him, what are we going to do? So the boss wants the server deleted. What are we going to do?
Mm.
Now, Trump has one more account as well as a result of this. He's got a 30-second count and of willfully retaining documents, and that document specifically is the one about the Iran war plans that he was waving around at Bedminster when he was talking to the biographers.
He's a crime boss, but he's not a very good one.
So,
He's not very smart.
Yeah. And it seems that two of 45's lawyers met with prosecutors from Jack Smith's office the other day, where they were told to expect an indictment soon on the January 6th stuff. So grand juries usually don't meet on Fridays. They do on Tuesdays or Thursdays. So maybe Tuesday or Thursday of next week. Maybe. And it seems that in Washington, D.C., the various police forces have been seen talking to each other and scoping out places to make sure that the security stuff is okay. And it seems that in Fulton County, Georgia, because remember, the AG of Georgia, Fani Willis, is still doing her thing. Apparently barricades are going up there.
Well.
So we are July 28th, and we were told that the grand jury there a few months ago, Fani Willis did warn people to start getting ready because there might be something, she might have an announcement to make end of July, first 2 weeks of August.
Mm.
The barricade's already going up because they're expecting people to not be happy.
Interesting.
I don't know if the barricades don't start going up if nothing's about to be announced soon.
Interesting.
So far, one case of indictments. Two case of indictments. 3 coming up soon. Maybe Washington, D.C. or Georgia first. Who knows? And then 4, when the other one happens, 4 cases of indictments. I love to count. The downfall will be in 4K.
Yeah.
The downfall will be in 4K.
In real time, 4K with Dolby Atmos.
You gotta go. And here's the thing that's interesting, because these charges, of course, are very serious, and the January 6th ones will probably be very serious. And, everybody's wondering, like, will Trump actually go to jail? Well, no, he won't be able to go to jail because he's like a former president, and, he's got a security detail, and, it's not like security detail is going to be in jail with him. The thing is that with these crimes, the inherent bias, given their severity, is that it is jail time.
Mm-hmm.
And not house arrest. So the judges that are presiding over these cases are going to have to do some pretty major legal gymnastics at sentencing time if he is found guilty. I don't know why I'm saying if, but if, I guess we have to say he is guilty, because innocent before proven guilty and all that kind of stuff. When you're charged with espionage crimes, and you want to be the leader of the nation, it seems to me that trying to explain why somebody like that should be under just house arrest for their sentence is going to be tricky for a judge to do. So we'll see about that. And this is going to get very ugly and messy quickly. And 45 does not appear, based on his rhetoric, to have learned from the first time from January 6th, because, all the things that he said to sort of incite that insurrection. He's saying those similar things again, which doesn't seem like a smart legal move. And so far, the charge that everybody is waiting to happen in the January 6th case is an insurrection charge, promoting an insurrection. That's not there in the target letter that he's received so far. Now, that doesn't mean that there can't be a superseding indictment on top of that as well, where that charge will come. But that one is really important because all this espionage stuff, like you mentioned, even though he could go to jail for it, doesn't stop him from holding office. But if he is charged and found guilty of inciting an insurrection, he's not allowed to hold office. So that's the one that people are hoping gets put there.
Mm-hmm.
And probably most of all, Mitch McConnell. Who, by the way, has decided that in the next federal election, he is putting, at least he has decided that the GOP is putting all their resources in only 2 or 3 of the Senate seats that they're running for. Even though they might have a chance in others, they're basically completely abandoning them because the candidates are... And his strategy is really like, just get me 51. That's all I care about. I know we might have a chance to win 56 or 53 or 54, based on the number of seats that we're competitive in, but that they're close. But we have wackadoodle candidates that if we put a lot of money, maybe we could push someone over the edge. But we really only need to win 2, 3. So let's throw everything to that. So he's basically bailing on a lot of the candidates. He's literally trying to save the furniture. So that's probably going to cause some more infighting as well, especially when Trump's like, why aren't you giving money to my preferred candidate? Witch hunt.
Woman in total control of herself.
I mean, that's my best Wicked Witch of the East. Or the West.
My pretties.
I'll get you, my pretty, and your Diet Coke too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a little dog. Although Nauda is being a really good puppy.
He's being an obedient dog.
Really good puppy. Still don't understand how these 2 people who are having their legal fees paid, potentially by a Trump super PAC, which is a big no-no, because there's not supposed to be any talking between the campaign and the super PAC. So how would a campaign know to put X number of dollars in X bank account in order to cover someone's legal fees and lawyers if there was no talking? But apparently these 2 people have not seen or witnessed the last 5 or 6 years where pretty much every person for whom Trump paid for a lawyer ended up convicted. And a lot of those lawyers are going through proceedings to keep their licenses. He's not paying for your legal defense, Walton Carlos.
No, you guys are screwed. You're on your own. He doesn't give a shit about anybody but himself, and he will push you down to save himself. He doesn't care.
Those lawyers
never has, never will.
Those lawyers' instructions are not to work in your best interest. Just letting you know.
Nope.
Cassidy Hutchinson learned.
Well, I mean, look, if you need another example of how much of a bullshit artist this guy is, when he was in a restaurant in Miami, food for everybody, and then left and didn't pay for anything. He was right. There is food for everybody, but he wasn't paying for it.
Yep.
And didn't.
Because
he's a liar.
Unless Trump was in there singing his head going, I'm everybody. The food's all for me.
That might be it.
You can. I bet you this guy somewhere in his shower sings "I'm Every Woman." There's room for only one star in his sky.
Mm-hmm.
He's everyone.
Oh yeah.
He's like Putin and Kim Jong-il and MLK and Mother Teresa and...
Well, he wants to be Putin or Kim Jong-il. He definitely loves
but he
those
wants
two
everybody
guys.
to think of him, as like... think of your most... as Tom Hanks. Right? Friendly, nice, the guy that you'd like to live next door, America's dad, right? Mr. Rogers. He plays Mr. Rogers. He wants people to think of him like that. And he's a freaking one-man crime spree mob boss.
He lives in a fantasy world in his head. All right, let's pivot.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised.
With Trump
I'm surprised he doesn't have like the body of Hervé Villachet somewhere, like cryogenically frozen, so he can come out every now and then. Go, boss, the plane. It's just this guy, man.
Maybe.
Welcome to Fantasy Island.
So let's talk cabinet for a second.
Ooh, okay.
And then I want to talk about 2 by-elections. So cabinet. So you're familiar with the work of Mr. Don Braid?
Ooh.
Don Braid is a proud mainstream media political columnist for the Calgary Herald.
Mm-hmm.
So yesterday he wrote a column, Calgary blanked in Liberal cabinet again and prairies don't do much better. And the response from Thomas Lukaszuk, Calgary, we refuse to elect any Liberals. Calgary, damn Liberals didn't appoint any cabinet ministers from Calgary.
Yep. Again.
There's 2 Liberal MPs, federal Liberal MPs in Alberta. Randy Boissonneau, who we have a great deal of respect for because this guy's dialed in.
And is in cabinet.
And he is in cabinet. And George Shahal, who he did some rather underhanded things.
Which explains why the Conservatives want him in cabinet. Because had they named George Shahal, who is representing in Calgary, to cabinet, then they'd be turning around and says, look how we put in cabinet this guy who stole our... Of course they wanted him in cabinet. Of course they want somebody from... It's like, again, they think that the Prime Minister was born yesterday at night with no street lamps on anywhere in the city. Dead dark of night. They keep on inviting him to commit political suicide, and he keeps on going, thanks, I think I'll pass. Call another election now. Why? Because you want one? Why would I help you?
Well,
but seriously, why would the Prime Minister lift a pinky finger to provide any help or assistance to the Conservative Party of Canada, considers what it has become?
You don't shoot yourself in the foot.
Job. Why?
Well, he's smart enough. He's smart enough to know not to shoot himself in the foot.
Just go talk to the protesters. Hold the election now. Take your carbon tax plan like this and reverse it. That budget you just presented, I'm going to stand here and filibuster until you remove your budget and put the budget that we would have wanted to put in place instead.
So much for democracy. Now let's change the carbon tax to the greenhouse gas emissions tax, which the Conservatives brought in under Stephen Harper.
Right.
We're going to cut the carbon tax. What about the greenhouse gas emissions tax? Shh. The luxury vehicle tax. That was the gas guzzler tax your government brought in.
Mm-hmm.
In by-election news, kids and cubs, the Ontario Liberals won a pair of provincial by-elections Thursday, including snagging a previously progressive Conservative seat. Wins by Andrea Hazel in Scarborough-Guildwood and Karen McCrimmon in Kanata-Carleton bring the Liberals to 9 seats in the legislature. Now, remember this, the Liberals do not have a leader in the province of Ontario. True. But people are so pissed off at the corruption, the in-your-face, proud corruption of the Doug Ford Conservative government that they're turning. Now, and somebody says, why are people still voting Conservative? Well, because they're not getting the facts, number one. If they knew what was really going on, even true blue dyed-in-the-wool Conservatives who are actually politically engaged are like, no, I'm liberal or NDP. I cannot support that man. And I'm talking guys who are card-carrying members of both the federal and provincial Progressive Conservative Party. Well, the federal, provincial Conservative, you know what I mean? Because we don't have a federal Progressive Conservative Party. But they were card-carrying members, and they've walked away from the feds a long time ago. And in the province of Ontario, they're like, no, Ford's a criminal. He's a mob boss. Forget about it. He's destroying this province and everything good that it stood for. John Robarts is spinning in his grave right now. And if you don't know who John Robarts is, please look him up. He was the man who made Ontario. I mean, he was the best premier the province ever had. Ever. Bill Davis was probably a close second to Robarts, I would say. Bill Davis was a good premier. He did a lot of good for the province, and he was a progressive conservative. So, you know, when they always accuse us, you guys are just liberal cucks. No, we're not. We're going to give credit where credit is due. And if somebody's done something good, we're going to praise them for it. But the Conservative Party in Ontario, and I'm not calling them progressive, even though it's in their name, because they're not progressive. No. They are not. Doug Ford has said, I'm a very much a proud Republican. Doug, do you know what country you're in? Because he doesn't know that Ottawa is part of Ontario, because he welcomed the Governor General, Mary Simon, on her first visit to Ontario. Maybe Queen's Park, Doug, but Ottawa is in Ontario where she lives.
Yep.
I've been to her house.
Yep.
It's just...
Yep. Well, and of course, you know, one of the reasons helping that, of course, is the fact that, you know, 85% of our press is GOP US owned, dominated, whatever. So we have Brian Lilley again with 2 tweets. Trudeau and Freeland say they have no more money for Toronto. Most of what they owe the city is for the refugee crisis, much more than the $97 million they've offered, and they won't even pay what they're responsible for. Okay, number one, you don't want the federal government spending money in the first place, so why are you complaining? And why are you pretending to care about the poors, Mr. Yelich? Seriously.
Well, and let's go with number 3. Dougie's sitting on $22 billion.
Yeah. Right. Then, what I love about the Truanon CBC defenders is that they want to point out that I publish my opinions, that I have a political bias. Yes, I've been a columnist and commentator for close to 15 years. I'm not neutral. Cochrane is supposed to be neutral. He's anything but that, because he was mad because David Cochrane, for example, he said, it would be great if David Cochrane at CBC, who is doing a freaking amazing job and knocking it out of the park since he took over Power Politics. He's actually doing journalism and remembering things and likes facts
and logic, and will hold your feet to the fire. If you try to lie to his face, he's going to call you out on it on the spot in real time, which is the way it should be done.
So he's interviewing Sean Fraser, the new Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities, and, you know, asking the question. He goes, it would be great if David Cochrane at CBC could ask an unbiased question to a Liberal minister. Instead, Sean Fraser comes on and describes a plan similar to what Pierre Poilievre has suggested, and Cochrane asks a question that is effectively, please crap on the Conservatives. Oh, so if we pass that from the bullshit to English, right, through the Beavertron 3000, so we take that statement, put it in, boop, 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 beep, boop, 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 and what comes out is, not 100% of the media outlets in Canada are singing from the CPC Sun Media Songbook. Really?
Basically.
Dude. Brian, darling, poodle, come here. Let's talk. Right? Yes, I've been a columnist and commentator for close to 15 years. I'm not neutral. Yeah. That a columnist and a commentator is supposed to have a bias is no excuse for having shit opinions that are ill-informed as a standard operating procedure, especially after those 15 years in the business that you quote. You would assume that 15 years in the business would sharpen your skills at forming opinions and commentary that actually are rooted in fact and tethered to reality, but apparently that is not what you are paid to do, and you go for real cheap. You're even throwing your body into it, allegedly. I know you think of yourself as someone who gives and gives and gives. I mean, even when you're not on the clock, you are on the clock, right, Mr. Yelich?
Oh, he's giving all right. He's giving all right. He's giving a handy to Doug Ford. That's what he gives.
So,
How about a reach around?
Cochrane is supposed to be neutral. And again, Mr. Lilley, the truth is truthful, not neutral. The truth picks a side. It lands on the side of the people telling the truth. That's not, if you want to consider that bias, then it's not the reporter that's biased. It's the truth that's biased.
Mm-hmm.
And you are not a truthful person, sir. Which is why you probably, frequently, more often than not, almost daily, end up on the wrong side of that ledger.
Oh, yeah.
Really, really, really should not be talking. This is your opinion on this particular topic was really not necessary. Just, yeah, not the most stellar thing. Another bit of good news, because far right parties have been winning elections all over the place, right? One in Finland and one in Sweden and one in Italy, and in the Netherlands, that prime minister has stepped down, which is making Q Ian really, really happy, because for some reason he was really focused on Dutch farmers for a few months. So he's like, oh yeah, we got another one, we won. Well, in Spain, and in Greece as well, the right party one, the party of the right. In Spain, the far right party, they just had an election this past weekend. The far right party was resurgent and doing really, really well in the polls. It was predicted to win. It ran on anti-woke, anti-abortion, and anti-immigration rhetoric. And it seems that it fully imploded.
Good.
The far right, this according to Reuters, the far right Vox party lost seats in Spain's elections on Sunday. Lost, staving off the prospect of a first hardline nationalist-backed government since General Francisco Franco's dictatorship, and pointing to limitations in the Europeans' far-right bid for the mainstream. Now, this party, the Vox party, the Vox party is the far-right party, I'm guessing, but there was or maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead.
From what I had heard, originally it was a centrist party that was going to need to form a coalition with the far right party in order to be able to govern. So I'm a little confused by the article, because this one, it seems that the far right party was the main one that would have. Anyway, so I must have misunderstood something when I heard about it the first time on podcasts. Polls had predicted. Oh no, there we go. Yes, no, I was right. Polls had predicted a win for the center-right People's Party, with Vox as the likely kingmaker, but they failed to win a majority, leaving Catalan and Basque pro-independence parties holding the balance of the power in a hung parliament. Oh, that is gonna be a fun time in Spain.
Oh yeah,
that's like when we had the Bloc Québécois form the official opposition. The Basques are way more separatists than the Québécois ever were.
Oh, they're and that also goes back like what, 1,000 years, if not more. You know,
but way more. So now they hold the balance of power.
Interesting.
Oh, that is going to be so much fun for the governing party. Vox's share of seats fell to 33 from 52. So the far right party had 52 seats, and they dropped to 33. Despite campaign endorsements from a who's who of nationalist leaders, including Italy's Giorgia Meloni and Hungary's Viktor Orban. Of course, they stuck their nose in other people's elections.
Well, that's what dictators do.
Yes, they do. The anti-immigration and anti-feminist Vox party fared especially badly in the region of Castile and Leon, where it has shared power locally with the PeePee and promoted policies that were problematic for many mainstream voters. That included trying to change the rules of abortion clinics to make women to be shown 4D 4D images of the babies they want to abort and hear their heartbeats. I wonder if all those right-wingers who probably have like mistresses and whatnot like this and fly them out of country for abortions, I wonder if they ever show 4D images of men having to change soiled diapers with the baby crying and that high-pitched scream that only Mariah Carey can make at 3 a.m. in the morning before they have sex or pop that Viagra. I mean, since we're presenting the consequences of people's decisions in 4D to them, just wondering if that happens. Sunday's result, which may keep the socialist Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez in power or herald another vote, suggests an electoral ceiling for some of Europe's far-right parties, though their rise has worried leaders from Brussels to Berlin. Quote, the single most important issue across the population was related to the cost of living, and Vox's strategy focused on identity issues. So, which is really interesting because that was what we were talking about with the cabinet shuffle, that the federal Liberal government has been doing very good on environment and the war in Ukraine and reconciliation. But if we're talking about affordability, cost of living, the economy, and what have you done for me, the citizen, lately, they need to focus on that.
Oh, yeah. Well, you just mentioned identity, and I got something that just came across my feed here that you're going to be very happy when I put this on the screen.
Okay.
You're going to be very happy when I put this on the screen, I promise.
Okay.
We'll put it on the screen. You can read it, and then I'll read it out loud for the audio version. This just came out a few minutes ago. Michigan bans the use of conversion therapy on LGBTQ youth.
That's how you
Michigan
do it.
is the 22nd state to outlaw the discredited practice of attempting to, in quotation marks, convert a person's sexual orientation or gender identity.
That's how you do it.
So I thought I would highlight that right away because I think it's important that and Dr. Jonathan Stay, conversion therapy is not therapy. It is a harmful pseudoscience, and it's illegal in Canada and now the state of Michigan too. Good on you, Michigan. Good on you. Hey, Jake, your old pal Jake. You guys just did something good there, my friend. You did something very good.
And speaking of Michigan, the Attorney General, Dana Nessel, who our pal Jake really likes, has there were more indictments, not only for Trump, not only for Carlos de Oliveira, but issued an indictment for a key suspect who accessed voting machines. She is a Detroit attorney who has worked for greater than 20 election deniers across the country. She is one of 9 suspects in an alleged tabulation tampering plot, a coordinated plan to gain access to voting machines in multiple jurisdictions following the 2020 election. It is alleged that she and her 8 co-conspirators took 5 ballot tabulation machines from 3 counties to a whole other county where they were broken into for quote-unquote tests. Other people charged indicted are a former state representative, county sheriff, officials with Cyber Ninjas security firm, which is also the same security firm that performed the audit in Arizona and is under investigation there. And a former Republican candidate for the position of Attorney General in Michigan, the job that Dana Nessel currently holds. So I'm guessing that had he actually won, he wouldn't be looking into this at all. Which is probably the main reason why he was running. Which is the same reason for which Trump is running. Get me to the presidency. Get me to the Oval Office on time so I can pardon myself. Make all these things go away. So they are being charged with undue possession of voting equipment, and it seems that same lawyer is also being sued in the state of Pennsylvania by the audit company itself, Cyber Ninjas, because apparently she hired them to look for voter fraud, and they really looked and they weren't able to find anything. And given that they weren't able to find anything, she decided that she doesn't have to pay them. Well, I paid you to find voter fraud. Says, no, you paid us to do an investigation to see whether there was voter fraud. There wasn't any. Pay us. But you didn't find me voter fraud. That's what I'm paying you for. That's going to go over real well in court. She's a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. A former GOP candidate for governor has also pleaded guilty to misdemeanors related to January 6th. A guy named Ryan Kelly apparently was there at the Capitol when that happened and climbed some scaffolding and was indicating, waving people like, hey, over here. He was running to be governor of the state of Michigan.
He done.
GOP? Maybe you need to focus on candidate quality. Maybe.
That's not going to happen.
Mitch McConnell's kind of concerned with it. That's why he's not going to put any money behind certain of your senatorial candidates. Because he knows they can't win. Because they're wackadoodle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not great. Not great at all. Other good news. Remember Steve Bannon and that build the wall thing?
Yeah.
Now, while he's still denying all terrible things, one of his co-conspirators, Timothy Shea, was sentenced to 63 months. 63 months. About 5 years, for soliciting donations, using false statements, stealing the resulting donations, then laundering the proceeds of the fraud scheme, and attempting to obstruct the federal investigation. He has to forfeit $1.8 million that he earned illegally. Then he needs to make restitution in that amount as well. So it's like you can't take the $1.8 million that you stole and say, hey, I'm giving it back and it's okay. No, you got to give back that $1.8 million and then you got to come back with another $1.8 million to restitute for that. And two others involved in the scheme were sentenced earlier after pleading guilty, but Bannon is still saying that he is pure as the driven snow. Now, he was convicted under those for that under federal charges, but Trump pardoned him before he left. However, those are also state crimes. So he's being charged with them again, state-wise. And even if Trump wins again, the president can't pardon for state charges. So Bannon will be going to jail. It's just a matter of when.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep. So not sure if jail will allow him to wear 3 layers of jumpsuit, though. Our good friends at the Daily Beans call him Senor Tres Camisas. Senior 3 shirts.
I guess.
He always has 3 shirts.
I'd never noticed that before.
Always, for some reason. Well, when your heart's that cold, I guess you need to keep warm. Did I? Oh, geez. That just slipped right out. Don't know how.
Well, I think he'll stay warm.
Oh. Yee. There's a meme. It's from Hell Canada instead of Shell Canada. And it's
wildfire.
Yep.
With a forest with a firefighter in it. It says at least billionaires are getting richer.
Ouch.
Well, Shell reports that it earned nearly $5.1 billion in the second quarter. I assume that's profit and not gross revenue.
Oh man. Jeez. Petty's such a nice color on you. Thank you, Kitty Lane. Perfect for summer. Brings out the white of my teeth.
I got another factoid for you here and a graphic.
All right.
Oh boy, this is not good. It's the northern hemisphere's oceans and seas have never been this
Yes.
hot in modern history. The North Atlantic just reached its highest temperature in recorded history just 2 days after the Mediterranean Sea reached its highest temperature in recorded
Yeah.
history. And let me put this graphic on the screen because, oh boy.
Yeah, that was the one I forgot to mention when I was talking about the heat.
It really highlights. You can see it's above 5 degrees is the warming trend.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It is.
And look at it around Greenland.
Yeah.
The northern part, you see down, like this is all off the coast,
Yeah.
right? Look at as high up as northern Labrador. Labrador?
Yep.
Labrador.
Yep.
Look at Hudson's Bay along the coast.
Look up.
James Bay, Hudson's
Yeah,
Bay.
look
at
right
this.
there. Exactly. That's what I was looking at.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Crazy.
There was some monitoring. I think there's something called the NOAA monitoring system in Florida. That there was a buoy there where the water was recorded at 97 Fahrenheit. Water.
Wow.
Just
it's body temp.
yes. So yeah, like I said, the world is on fire, and as Secretary General Antonio Guterres said, boiling. Boiling, not just warming, boiling. Economic data, the last in the series that come out for a month, because we get like inflation and jobs and all that. The last one that we normally get in a month is GDP. Real gross domestic product for Canada in May increased 0.3%. Experts were expecting 0.4, following a 0.1 uptick in April. Service-producing industries were up 0.5%, while goods-producing industries partially offset the increase with a 0.3% decline in May. Overall, 12 of 20 industrial sectors posted increases. That's according to Statistics Canada. The numbers are good, leading more credence to what the U.S. Federal Reserve has stated, that we might be sidestepping the predicted recession altogether, which means that the soft landing will have somewhat happened. I believe in a healthy dose of skepticism. I'm going to believe it 3 months after it happened. So about that recession thing, but so far it seems to look good, but we're still in the situation right now where if the economy is strong, then the banks are feeling that they need to raise the interest rates, which the US Fed has done. They raised it another 0.25%. They're at 5.5%. We're at 5. So we're at 5.25, which concerns me that we might have another one as well in store, which does not make me happy. Hoping the Bank of Canada figures out that there might be something else other than interest rates, because right now the rise in interest rates is actually fueling inflation when it comes to housing. Mm-hmm. So there has to be another tool somewhere, somehow. I hope so. But in terms of GDP growth, positive numbers, no recession, all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, that's more things that give the impression that the bank might have yet another rate hike planned for us in September. I hope not.
Well, it's, there's not a damn thing we can do about it. So we just have to roll with the punches. And boy, I'm getting beat up.
Yeah.
I don't have a mortgage, but come on, man, it's getting more expensive to do everything.
Yeah.
And I'm really,
yeah. And when we were talking about the shuffle, and we were talking about changing the priorities, Chrystia Freeland was on quoted yesterday saying, our priorities are the economy, the economy, the economy. So there's a change, but there's a change in rhetoric from the Liberal government. So this seems to me, it seems to confirm what I was saying yesterday, that, they went into the last election thinking, okay, we're going to do Build Back Better, and we're going to use this low interest rate environment to fix all the things that the forensic light of COVID showed us were a problem. And then the rates started going up, and said, whoops, maybe we can't take on that much debt or service, and having to service that debt. And they've changed their priorities. Now, the public mood has also changed in terms of priorities. People were really all for Build Back Better around that time. But now people want to eat. Yeah.
Yes.
Humans are funny like that. They like to eat. They like to sleep under a roof.
Like the Beaverton the other day, the major grocery chain has figured out a way to increase its profits by jacking up the prices of things that people need to live.
Yeah.
Food.
So, and the thing that we have to understand here is that, yes, our CPI is 2.8. Now, one of the reasons for that is because energy has really decreased, but a spike in energy can happen anytime for any reason. So let's say if energy was just at zero inflation rather than lower what it was, what would our CPI be then? Maybe closer to 4, 5. So I can understand why the Bank of Canada is concerned that we're not quite there yet, because energy fluctuates pretty quickly, and then that changes that base number pretty quickly. You have Sean Fraser, who's talking about building housing and all the provinces, as we mentioned, saying, yeah, don't stick your nose in our jurisdiction. He is quoted as saying, I don't want to be in position where the federal government starts hiring construction workers that are already working in the private sector building homes. But if you are talking about direct contributions to projects that can get built, absolutely there's a role for the federal government, which again is giving me the impression that they're thinking about direct funding to municipalities rather than going through the provinces, which would make me very happy. Very happy. And of course, well, PeePee. His quote on all of this is, he needs to be fired and replaced with a new common sense conservative prime minister, and that prime minister will be me. He said
it won't.
He said it Mike Pence style too.
Yeah.
With that soft voice that's reassuring and makes everything sound like it's normal and actually common sense.
Skippy's going to have a bad week ahead of him next week, because I'm telling you right now, when some of the stories come to light about the underhandedness that he chose to torpedo Patrick Brown, and Patrick Brown was, again, fully vindicated in the "we're the campaign that protects whistleblowers" comment, but she was blowing smoke.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And we're going to
That's all it was.
Because I know you got some stuff on that. But those Ontario by-election results that you mentioned, right? Everybody's pointing to that Abacus poll, right? Since Conservatives are leading by 10 now. That Abacus poll, I did check Evan Scrimshaw's article. I put it up yesterday. It's a must-read. It does indicate that the Conservatives are leading in Ontario by 6, which it would be concerning, and that in all the places in Canada where the Liberals were leading, like Atlantic Canada or whatnot, they're either drawn even or falling a little bit behind, and even that and that the lead is not wide enough in Quebec over the Bloc to compensate for that. They're not showing Conservatives with a majority yet, which again, if you've got a poll where you're leading by 10 points and that doesn't guarantee you a majority government in terms of seat, because the top line number isn't the number, but how concerned you need to be. Like I said, I'm specifically not very concerned yet, because this is the normal kicking the tires phase where the incumbent party drops below. 10 is high, however, but when you see the vote distribution, it's right. Again, and it's not like PeePee's particularly charismatic here. When you add that,
he's not charismatic at all.
But when you add that to the recent federal by-election votes, and like if you do what Evan Scrimshaw says, if you add the Mississauga one that happened earlier this year, there's still nothing that shows that the Liberals are in trouble, because on the whole, their share of the vote during by-elections hasn't decreased. Right? But now you have in Ontario, like you mentioned here, Liberal Karen McCrimmon won a seat in Ottawa's West End.
Former lieutenant colonel in the Canadian Air Force.
Yes, exactly.
She was in the Army before that,
Yes.
and well decorated.
Yes, a very hers is a name I recognize.
Mhm,
Right.
mhm.
And that was flipping a seat that the Progressive Conservatives had. She won the riding and the by-election with 34.35% of the vote, defeating Progressive Conservative candidate Sean Webster by 651 votes. Again, every vote counts. NDP candidate Melissa Conrad finished third. So again, not great results for the NDP again. I'm thrilled to be serving the residents of Canada Carleton once again, McCrimmon said in a statement. I believe that she might have already been an MP once and then lost and then won again. I need to check
She was. Yeah, she was.
because that might be how I know her.
No, she was. She was
Okay.
an MP.
This election is
MPP, sorry, MPP.
This election is a message to Doug Ford that Ontarians aren't happy with his policies. Canada Carleton wants a strong advocate at Queen's Park and a representative that will fight for what matters to them. Canada Carleton riding is very close to PeePee's riding federally. I'm not sure if some of it overlaps even, but
It is. Yeah.
But PeePee call might be coming from inside the riding. Just saying. The by-election was called following the resignation of Progressive Conservative MPP and Cabinet Minister merrily selling seniors down the stream, Fullerton, in March. Her departure left Ottawa region without any cabinet representation in Ontario Premier's Doug Ford's government, which probably suited him quite fine because he hates Ottawa. Well, it's true. And then Liberal Andrea Hazel won Scarborough-Guildwood in the provincial by-election there. Turnout was low, just 21.8% of eligible voters showed up for that one. She says on her Hazel describes herself as a proven leader. Quote, I have a winning track record of delivering results for a community, and I'm ready to bring that same drive and determination to serve the people of Scarborough-Guildwood at Queen's Park. Let's see, no data in this one about her margin of victory in this article, which is a little weird because
it was a very, very narrow margin of victory. It was less than 1,000 votes.
Yeah, that's why
very narrow. I think it was like less than a percentage point or something. I looked at it earlier.
Yeah, so you think that would be
either way, she won. Well, and again, like I said, I think the only reason the Conservatives are still getting votes because you've got people who vote con no matter what. But it must be people who are uninformed as to what Doug Ford is doing to the province and our healthcare and our public green space. Like they can't know, because how could you be informed and still vote for that man? Again, like I said, guys that I've known are card-carrying members of the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario who are like, they're not getting my vote with that man in power because they're corrupt, and the corruption is right in your face. They're not trying to hide it. Matter of fact, they're bragging about it.
Actually, it's a good margin. Maybe that's why these newspapers didn't win it.
Really?
She got 36.55% of the vote. The Progressive Conservative, or the Conservative candidate Gary Crawford, got 29.57. Didn't even crack 30.
So it's about 5%.
Yeah. So. The New Democratic candidate got 26.19. So, she won. Andrea Hazel won by about 7%.
Okay, I thought it was a little bit smaller. Either way, she won. That's all that matters.
But the lead, like this, the Progressive Conservative Party had just over a 3% lead over the New Democratic Party. There's a new party called Stop the New Sex Ed Agenda.
No, that was a party. They ran in Scarborough.
Yeah, they ran in Scarborough. Tony Walton. He finished fourth.
Oh, Jesus
with 3.29%, but finished fourth. And then there was the New Blue Party. So, yeah. So that was a big win. So I'm seeing why all the articles from CP and whatnot are not listing the numbers by which she won, because that would be embarrassing. So, yeah. Again, this conservative thing about like conservatives are on the surge and we're rising again when you keep on getting by-election results like this?
Your polls mean nothing. All your base are belong to us.
All your base
You know that from a video game? It's from a video game. It's a bad translation from Japanese to English. All your base are belong to us.
Oh, man.
Gamers of a certain vintage would understand that one.
Oh, man.
I've got a quote here for you from our friend Mark Bourrie.
Okay.
I think you'll be interested in this. He says, "I'm never surprised when Hill journalists miss a big story that's right in front of them. Trudeau's move of Anita Anand to Treasury Board may not signal a wing clip. It may mean a powerful minister was brought in to fix a public service with serious post-COVID problems.
COO.
These include the back to the office debate, a bloated unused real estate lease portfolio, a need for departmental restructuring, serious problems with hiring and onboarding, budget systems that encourage waste, especially at the end of the fiscal year, and contract negotiations.
Mhm.
There's only one journalist on the Hill who specializes in covering the public service, National Newspaper Award winner Kathy May, and she doesn't work for a major media outlet anymore.
Right.
The public service is the largest employer in Canada, and policy means nothing without administration."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, I know you want to talk about Patrick Brown, and I do too. Just want to say good morning to some of the kits here. Good morning, Kit Jen, Kit Linda M, Kit Moan, Kit PNC Bio, Kit Dan T, who made an announcement that a certain city councillor has stepped down and that he is going to do the because democracy is something you do thing, roll up his sleeves and run. So, Kit Dan T. Applause.
Kudos to you, good sir.
Applause, sir. And I guess we might have to have you as a guest on the show to discuss your platform.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Sir.
So when you're ready,
we'll make arrangements for that.
When you're ready,
let us
when
know.
you have it,
We'll bring you in.
you don't have to come right away. But when you got your stuff together and you know what you want to run on and all that kind of stuff, please, come and speak to the kits. Let us know. Good morning to you as well, Kit Saucy, Kit Ellen. So lovely to see you joining us today. Kit Tavi G, of course, who we've talked about a couple of times because you've been nailing it today with your comments. Thank you for your contributions. We really appreciate it. And of course, Kit, let's see, who else did we have? Because we had some people come in later to the show, and I love to say hello to people who, because we don't care when you arrive, so long as you arrive. That's what matters to us. So,
yes.
Wow, you guys have been really active in the chat today. I'm seeing,
Oh, yeah.
Wow, this is great. Thank you. I'm glad that you're talking to each other. Kit Diggs BT Dubs 7. I love creative names, by the way. So a creative name will always get a shout out. Definitely. And then I think we have Kit Infamous Adam. So lovely to see you. And Kit Mystical as well. So thank you so much. And Kit Miss Sadeka is there as well. And hello to the whole family there as well. Okay. Mr. Grizzly. Patrick Brown. Lay it on me.
So we all know about Skippy the other day in his commentary. We're the party that protects whistleblowers.
Yes,
we're the campaign that protects whistleblowers.
Common sense conservative campaign that protects whistleblowers.
Well, that's hogwash, and we all know it. We've got some video clips here we're going to go to. And this video clip that you're about to see is from about a year and a half ago, if memory serves. Patrick Brown was vindicated. So is the whistleblower still a whistleblower or a paid political operative? Will Pierre Poilievre be held accountable by Elections Canada? It's a 6-minute video. We're not going to play it all in one shot. We're going to cut it up in clips and discuss it. So let's just watch a few seconds.
Serious allegations of wrongdoing by the Patrick Brown campaign that appear to violate the financial provisions of the Canada Elections Act. They said the information was provided to your campaign did not satisfy concerns with their compliance and our rules and procedures or the Canada Elections Act. They have disqualified you. What is your reaction to that?
First of all, Evan, let's say what this is really about. We signed up 150,000 new members to the party, which blew previous marks out of the water. Aaron O'Toole had signed up 20,000 when he was successful, and the party establishment was very clearly nervous. Pierre Poilievre was running paid television commercials in the GTA attacking my candidacy, and that's not the sign of a confident campaign. Clearly, the party establishment wanted Pierre. I'm shocked that they would take lengths this extraordinary to rob members of the party of a democratic election based on an anonymous complaint that we have no information on. They told our campaign there is an allegation that someone was being paid by a corporation to work on my campaign, but we wouldn't have no information about who that was or who that corporation was, so it's impossible to respond to a phantom.
Wow.
Okay.
And this was like last, what was it? I can't remember when. This is like a year and a half ago, something like that. I don't exactly remember when it took place. There's still more to come, and we will address that in a few minutes. But there's just so much on this. Like the paper trail. A whistleblower derailed Patrick Brown's leadership dream. A paper trail reveals who hired her. Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown asked the company behind a luxury real estate development in Oakville to hire a political organizer who ultimately brought down his conservative leadership campaign, financial documents reveal. But how the company, managed by Oakville-based Sigma Group, got involved in the messy world of leadership campaign politics, and whether it or Brown are under investigation for allegations the arrangement broke federal election law, remains unclear. That's all I can get, because then I have to pay for it. And I was like, okay, sale, 50 cents a week, cancel anytime. I went to sign up.
Oh, send me something.
Torstar wants my date of birth. I'm not giving them that.
Send me the thing. I might be able to find that somebody gave me a tool that I could use to...
Sending it to you now, sir. I'm going to put it right here. Boom, there you go. If you've got the tool to unlock that, that would be great, because I would like to read it. Yeah, I went to sign up. I'm like, 50 cents. All right, I'll sign up. Screw it. I'll sign it up. Date of birth. They want too much information from me. I'm like, I'm just trying to sign up for your newspaper's online thing. You don't need my date of birth. You're not getting it. It's none of your damn business. They're like, well, we need it for demographics. No. You're not getting it. You're not getting it. It's too much. Let's go back to the video here while you're
the thing about the video that surprised me is when he said he was shocked. Really? Are you really shocked that the Conservative would do that, considering your experience in Ontario when you ran for the... Are you really shocked? Really?
I don't think he's shocked as much as he just needs to feign that emotion, if you will. So let's go back and we'll look at a little bit more of this, shall we? And just give me a sec while it loads up. And here we go.
I want to break that down, Mr. Brown, but you and I spoke this morning, and I want you told me this is an egregious abuse of democracy in the party, and you called it, quote, politically corrupt. What do you mean?
Well, this leadership is a battle for the soul of the Conservative Party. Our members of the party deserve a vote. It shouldn't be taken away from them. And, having strong campaigns in this leadership really made this an exciting race. I felt with Jean Charest's candidacy, my candidacy, Dr. Leslie Lewis and Pierre all having robust campaigns, it really created a competitive leadership. And we felt that we were going to win it. We thought we had the memberships in the right spots. And so when I say this is politically corrupt, Evan, 150,000 Canadians, many for the first time joined the Conservative Party, and their vote has been taken away. They've been disenfranchised. That's an egregious abuse of our democracy.
Corrupt. Are you saying there's some...
He's not wrong. It's truly, truly disturbing when you get right down to it, right? I think we have a link in the chat here. I'm going to just pull it up and have a look at it. Oh, yeah, okay. That's, from James, dismantling Patrick Brown. It's from a year ago. Patrick Brown, it's from Blackballed. Patrick Brown was ousted from the federal Conservative leadership race, and it feels like he was never going to be allowed to run. This is part one of a two-part podcast examining what happened and why it looks like the fix was in. So we want, if you lovely Kitchen Cubs want to check out, the link's in the chat there. Reed just put it up. That's part one to James's I guess, basically a documentary, if you will, upon what took place for Patrick Brown. Okay, I'll give this a shot, sir.
I think I
Let's
found
see
it
if
for
I
you.
can make this happen.
Here you go.
Yeah, that's it. I got it. Okay, excellent. Thank you. So let's continue on with this thing that I was reading about a second ago. The recent publication of campaign financial disclosures, which have been reviewed by the Star, sheds new light on the allegation that eventually forced Brown out of the federal Conservative leadership race last July. That his campaign had accepted an illegal donation by having a third-party company pay for one of his campaign workers, Debbie Jaudoin. Last week, the Star revealed that Pierre Poilievre's campaign paid for the lawyer who Jaudoin used to bring her concerns to the party, a move Poilievre has since defended. Now the company Brown got to hire Jaudoin in the first place is public for the first time. His campaign records show that last July, Brown's campaign cut a check of $7,410.83 to a numbered Ontario company, and his campaign confirmed to the Star the payment was related to Jaudoin.
Of course, it was a numbered company.
Of course it was. Yeah. Corporate records reveal the numbered company's business name is Trafalgar Crossing, an office and retail complex located in what its website describes as Uptown Oakville. Trafalgar's Crossing website lists the Sigma Group as the development's landlord. The Sigma Group was founded in the 1990s by Arjun Jazjua. I hope I pronounced his name. Jazuja? As a software firm. Pardon, possibly. I don't know. I apologize if I've screwed his name up. I don't like to do that, but I read it for the first time. I don't know if I have the pronunciation correctly. But anyway, Arjun is a software firm supporting the telecom industry. The privately held company has since branched out into numerous other interests, including luxury real estate and medical technology.
Oh, really? How convenient. Luxury real estate and medical technology. Really?
Interesting. Jasuja, who is Sigma's chairman, is listed as a director of Trafalgar Crossing, as is Sigma's managing partner, Anita Dharamshi, that's what it is. Trafalgar Crossing's business address in corporate records is also the same as the Sigma Group.
Convenient.
Attempts by the Star to contact Jasuja and Dharamshi through the Sigma Group were not successful. A person who answered the phone at the company's headquarters said they were on vacation, though said they did forward along requests for comment from the Star. Jaudoin has referred all questions to her lawyer, who has not replied to the Star's calls or emails. Brown's campaign could not provide any details of the arrangement, saying only the company was a friend who Brown asked to give Jaudoin a job.
I love when people say, call my lawyer, and then the lawyer doesn't answer anything.
Yes.
Just send it to a black hole.
In a July 2022 statement via her lawyer, Jaudoin said she joined the Brown campaign in April 2022 at his request to act as a regional organizer. She said she was told by Brown she could be hired by a third party as a consultant, and then the company would have her volunteer on Brown's campaign. What work Jaudoin would have been hired to do for Trafalgar Crossing is unknown, but the arrangement is not uncommon in politics. PR firms, for example, often allow employees to keep their day jobs while volunteering on political campaigns. But in Jaudoin's statement, she said she personally asked Brown in June 2022 for his campaign to pay her. Brown expressed surprise that the expenses had not been covered, and he said he was on it, the statement said. Shortly after that, says Jaudoin, a corporation paid me and paid for my expenses, not the Brown campaign. Elections law states that campaigns must pay their expenses with money raised from individuals. Presented with Jaudoin's allegations, the Conservative Leadership Race Organizing Committee concluded that Brown's campaign had accepted a corporate donation, and that became one of the reasons he was disqualified from the race. In Brown's telling, recounted via his campaign at the time, he had a friend hire Jaudoin, but the work on his campaign was, to Brown's understanding, being done on her own time. To the extent that the person was volunteering for the campaign while they should have been performing work for a friend's company, Mr. Brown and the campaign is prepared to reimburse the friend and their company for the applicable amounts. The Brown campaign sent a letter to the Leadership Race Organizing Committee on June 30th. Brown was disqualified on my birthday, July 5th, 2022. His campaign cut the check to Trafalgar Crossing 7 days later.
So he's still paid.
He's still paid. Federal election law states campaigns must return ineligible donations within 30 days after becoming aware of the ineligibility. The fact Brown's campaign paid back the money should not be the end of the matter, said Duff Conacher, who the co-founder of Democracy Watch.
Those are the people that put out that thing on by-election day saying that the SNCA investigation was still open when it was not.
Yeah, it was not. Yeah, so Democracy Watch? The commissioner should still prosecute. the commissioner, not commissioner, the commissioner should still prosecute if there is clear evidence, such as emails or text, that show Brown violated the elections law by arranging for Jodouin to be paid by a third-party company, because paying the company back after the allegations were made public does not erase the violation of the law.
Wait a minute, it sure
Conker
worked
said.
for the senators and the senator expense scandal.
Well,
They were allowed to repay it back and not get charged.
Mm-hmm. Picking and choosing. My guy does it, it's okay. Your guy does it, it's illegal. That's effectively what they're saying, right? The allegation that Brown's campaign broke the law has been referred to Commissioner of Canada Elections. The office has remained tight-lipped about the status of its investigation, citing a provision of the Elections Act that requires its work to remain confidential. This is a direct quote from the Commissioner's office. When a review or investigation leads to formal compliance measures or the laying of charges, this information is made public. When a file has been closed, in most instances, complainants and subjects of investigation are informed of the conclusions reached by the office. But so far, neither Brown campaign nor the Conservative Party have heard anything. The party has no information from Elections Canada about the status of an Elections Canada investigation, Sarah Fisher said in an email to the Star.
So this is Stephanie Levitt's again. Good reporting from her.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is now this is fishy in many ways, because first of all, Patrick Brown found a job for her so she could get paid for doing a job, which would then allow her to volunteer afterwards, right?
Right.
I think that's because, I mean, well, everybody's got to eat and everybody has to have a roof over their head, so she didn't have a job. So, it's like, how is this person? See, I'm not understanding this, because if she went to him for help to find a job, period.
She was a double agent. She was planted there by this is my speculation. Okay, so this is not fact. This is my speculation. She was placed in that position by Poilievre's campaign to bring down Patrick Brown by doing what she did.
So
that's my speculation and my opinion.
So my thing is, she finds her the job. So she's working a job. She should get paid for her job, and she's volunteering on her own time. Now,
that's what he understood.
Now, I would assume that some of those volunteer hours could be happening during 9 to 5. So I'm guessing that she would have to either not claim those hours as work or make those hours up at other times during the 24-hour period that she is not volunteering during a 9 to 5 period, or during whatever her regular work hours would be. She seems to be claiming that she hadn't been paid, I'm guessing. And Patrick Brown said, oh, okay, well, we need to fix that.
We'll fix that right away. Yeah.
And this is the part then where I get confused. Like, what did she get paid for? Just her regular, she didn't get paid for regular work, or didn't get paid because she's not supposed to get paid for volunteer hours?
No. It's all so very fishy, isn't it? And you're right, Ree. James reported on this at the time, but there was not enough concrete evidence.
Yep.
All the evidence is there now, all the paper trail. And remember the $37,000 that Pierre Poilievre's campaign paid to the law firm that his campaign chair is employed by, his campaign chair being John Baird. Now, again, we said this the other day. It's very, very likely and very, very probable Baird knew nothing about this. It's also plausible that he did. Okay. I'm not saying either or on that, okay?
Now, I'm here from what I'm understanding from the article is that she wasn't asking to be paid for her hours, but for her expenses incurred while volunteering. And he said he was on it, and Jodouin says that a corporation paid me and paid for my expenses, not the Brown campaign. So a corporation should be paying her for work hours she worked for the corporation, not for the campaign. The corporation shouldn't be paying for the expenses.
That's right.
So that's the part that makes, like, because this document doesn't say if they have paperwork showing that the corporation actually did pay the expenses, just that she said so. So So on that particular part of paperwork, we're still at the same part. Now, that paperwork might be there and just may not be made public yet. But what was the actual source of it? And if Brown says, "Well, wait, whoa, they weren't supposed to pay for that," I'll cover that. Now, of course, it was in the interest of the party to dispatch them as soon as, because, again, right, you have to remember that political party leadership campaigns, political parties are considered private organizations. So even though there are some Elections Canada rules for certain things, I mean, Elections Canada typically doesn't get involved. It has to be really bad in this type of thing because it's not part of an election thing. It's just a party leadership race, and they're a private organization. They can organize their rules any way they see fit.
Any way they want. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
let's go back to tape for a second here. I got some.
There's some explaining to do here.
Oh yeah. There's. Here we go. Do I have the right screen up? I think I have the right screen up. I have so many of them. Just a second here. Let's just go with this. That way I have the right one. There we go. Too many tabs here to select from, and I don't mean tabs open on. Now here's the question. Oh, there it is. Okay, let's go.
Of our democracy.
Corrupt. Are you saying there's someone, the deck was stacked against you, that you were winning, and this is a sham, that there's nothing to these allegations? Are you alleging that this is Pierre Poilievre's supporters on the leadership organization stacking the deck to chop your legs out and get rid of you on this campaign, and there's no substance there? Is that when you say political corruption, what do you mean?
Well, first of all, Evan, no substance. We don't even know what the allegation is. This is an anonymous allegation being made. Well, how do you respond to a phantom allegation? You know, we've asked for information the party wouldn't give it. We tried to respond to every party request. We tried to be cooperative even when their questions made no sense. And so, you know, we are very disappointed, and obviously we know where this is coming from. It was Pierre Poilievre supporters on Leoc that were pushing this. Clearly, their campaign wanted me out of the race. They benefit the most from me being out of the race. And it's just disappointing. You know, frankly, if Pierre Poilievre was going to win this race, if he had gone through a fair leadership contest, he would have a stronger standing afterwards, post-September 10th. But I also know that I was a candidate that called Pierre out. And I don't think his campaign liked that. I don't think the party establishment liked that. You know, his association with Pat King, I was the first person to call out that video of him with Pat King and Pat King's history of hate and intolerance. You know, I called Pierre out on his ludicrous policy on Bitcoin, that he could opt out of inflation through cryptocurrency, and how I felt that was financially illiterate. You know, I have called Pierre out on his history on not condemning Islamophobia and voting the wrong way on that issue. And so I made some people in the party uncomfortable because I have challenged some of the traditional positions.
Like, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, but have we not been saying that for the last, since this show started 3 years ago? This is what we've been saying all along. And now we've got, you know, somebody who was trying to lead the party, become the party leader, who's in the party, flat out say exactly what we've been saying for 3 years.
Again,
I mean, I'm not a fan of Patrick Brown's, and he's greasy. Yes, but he's not Skippy. He's not Skippy, and he does believe in the rule of law. He believes in democracy. He believes. Well, you just heard what he talked about, right?
But here's the thing, right? If Patrick Brown knew then, when was that interview with Evan Solomon?
I think it was like a year ago.
If Patrick Brown knew then that Rat King was someone with whom you should not have an association, how does the entire Conservative Party not recognize Jeremy McKenzie when he shows up for pictures?
I don't know. Because they don't want to. Because they like what Jeremy McKenzie has to say. In private, they like what he has to say. And in private, I'm sure they pat him on the back and say, keep it up, good work. Until he threatened to sexually assault Pierre's wife, and now you've crossed the line.
Yeah, for like a couple of weeks, but he's still fluffing Jordan Peterson and taking pictures with straight white pride guy. Well, not white pride, straight pride guy.
Straight pride guy. Yeah. I didn't read the T-shirt. Bullshit.
Yeah, you also didn't.
It's lime green with black.
You also didn't read the Hold Fast T-shirt, and you also didn't read the Fuck Trudeau T-shirt. You also didn't read the Diagolon T-shirt.
Dark Brandon T-shirt.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go to more tape. More tape here.
More tape.
This just there's another less than 2 minutes left, and it just keeps going. It's so juicy.
Well, very clearly, Pierre Poilievre supporters are the ones behind this, and it begs the question why. If they're so confident, why do they want me out of the race? And I'd add to that, Evan, why are they running TV commercials in the GTA, expensive TV commercials in the largest media market in Canada, attacking my candidacy if they're as confident as they tell you they are?
But it's a race. It's a race, so they're going to do that. But they've responded to this.
Evan,
I want your reaction.
That's never been done. That's never been done in Canadian history in internal leadership, to run paid TV commercials in the opponent's media.
True.
It's true.
The Poilievre camp has said last night Patrick Brown was disqualified from the Conservative leadership race because of credible allegations that he had violated the financial provisions of the Canada Elections Act. They go on to say it's not the first time Patrick has been disqualified from running for public office for ethical impropriety. They go on to talk about the Ontario PC race disqualifying you. They say, quote, Patrick's conduct has demonstrated he's the kind of person that will do and say anything to win.
So,
yesterday's news was like,
I like the fact that Kevin was lost over the fact that he got that back.
Well, Patrick Brown will do and say anything to win. That's Pierre Poilievre's campaign said. Patrick Brown will do or say anything to win. Pot, may I introduce you to the fucking kettle? And sorry for dropping the whole but holy Christ.
My latest chapter. So what do you say about that?
So Evan, my first response is they say credible allegations. How does Pierre Poilievre's campaign know the allegations and my campaign doesn't? How do they know they're...
Well, that leads to my speculation of he planted her there to bring him down from within.
Credible allegations. All we know is there's an anonymous allegation that a corporation was paying someone that worked on my campaign. Pierre Poilievre has been pushing this for the last number of days, and it begs the question, once again, I go back to, why can't they just win this leadership fairly?
Right? Like, that's what we call kids a smoking gun.
I would really, 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 really like to see documentation about the actual check that was cut to repay those expenses.
Well, and again, let's go back to what we talked about from the article in the Toronto Star, and what we have already said. You're in violation of Elections Canada, but it's a private party matter. Elections Canada isn't getting involved.
Mm-hmm. But and then again, we have the irony that we've already pointed out, that people are complaining that Debbie Jaudoin had her expenses paid by a third party, while the Conservative Party of Canada, which is a private organization, which is a third party to Debbie Jaudoin, paid for the legal expenses for the whistleblower. And again, we have to ask, if the thing you blew the whistle on is something that did not happen,
how are you a whistleblower?
Right?
You're not a whistleblower. You're a bullshit artist.
And if that's the case, and if you pay for lawyer fees in order to protect that person, in exchange for getting their story, that you can then campaign on to destroy someone, that seems to me like it would be an election expense, which the Conservative Party of Canada, or at least Pierre, seemed to believe it was, because he did report it to Elections Canada, even though he only reported as election issues matter, not paying for dirt.
Well, and what Patrick Brown just said, we don't even know what the allegation is. How does he know what it is if we don't know what it is? I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, he knows what it is because he's the one who created it.
And why did Debbie Jaudoin first go running to Pierre Poilievre's campaign rather than Elections Canada?
Like, come on. Like, the fix was in, right? They torpedoed his campaign, number one. Number two, they're not even good at it because they left the paper trail for the whole world to see. Now, and again, James broke this story a year ago.
Yep.
But he didn't have any concrete evidence. Now we do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If this does not bring down Poilievre once and for all, if the party doesn't do anything about it, if the party just glosses it over and ignores it, and if voters don't demand for his head, then I think we're done in this country as a parliamentary democracy. I think we're finished. Honest to goodness, if he is not taken down by this, he's become Trump. I can stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone and I'd still get elected. If people still support this crooked villain after this, after all the things he's done, the MGTOW, the cuddling up to Jordan Peterson, the shaking hands with Pat King and Jeremy McKenzie, the I didn't read the T-shirt, the voting against same-sex marriage, the guy who will, if he becomes prime minister, find a way to make abortion illegal. If this doesn't bring about the end of his political career, then we're finished. We're finished. Because it's blatant crime. It's blatant. It could not be more in your face how much of a crime kingpin this guy is. And we got to talk to David Wallace because, David's got all the receipts.
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
And here's the thing. A lot of people going, well, a lot of that stuff that David Wallace is saying with the Klondike Papers is not founded. And every time somebody says that, there's another thing that comes true. Everything David Wallace has talked about has become proven to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Proven to be true, period. Every single thing. So tell me, David, what information do you have on this guy? Because let's get rid of him once and for all.
Would be nice.
But again, 66% of Canadian media is owned by a far right-wing GOP supported and enabled Christo-fascist evangelical hedge fund Chatham Asset Management, who, remember, always accuses the CBC of being state-run media while they're accepting hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government. Like, the hypocrisy, it blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, why are you always so exasperated? Because I read everything, and how can we be living in this timeline? We are, we're both the smartest and most in the most informed and smartest timeline that is also the most willfully ignorant. I just.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm right with you. So right now we're having a question: did PeePee pay for manufactured dirt and try to write it off as a legitimate election expense by calling it election issues matter, trying to slide it in there? And if so, does that violate his existing compliance agreement with Elections Canada?
Well, that's a good question because I think it does.
Drama, darlings. Drama. Stay tuned. Wow, that is juicy, Mr. Grizzly. You are right.
Yeah.
That is really juicy.
Dude, it's like, come on. It's insane. It's insane.
Wow.
So this is James just tweeted this at 2:30 this morning. And thanks, Reeve, for pointing it out. It's in the chat, and I just pulled it up. It says, they wanted Jaudoin's name secret for a week longer. This is why Jean Charest's team hired her, then fired her, because they had no idea she was the whistleblower, because the upper brass wanted her anonymity in place so they could sue her Charest next.
Sorry, if you're listening at home, just my jaw just fell on the floor.
On the floor.
So she went to work for Brown. Then she went to work for Charest?
Look here, I'll put it on the screen.
Okay,
let me
but
just
here's
blow
the
it
thing,
up so
right?
it's easy.
She's always been a Patrick Brown supporter. She works for Brown, then she goes and works for Charest, but she runs to Poilievre.
Mm-hmm. There's James' tweet, and let's go a little bit further. He's got a full thread. July 11th, 2022, a CPC HQ executive just gave me a glimpse behind the curtain. The party has been in turmoil for a year, divided between convoy conservatives and classic conservatives, but the leadership race turned the rivalry into a calculated cheating exercise. They manipulated the process. So egregious was the pro-Poilievre side that they sandbagged the other campaigns with trivial processes, impossible deadlines, and in Patrick Brown's case, a trumped-up charge that they refused to elaborate on. They wanted Jodoin's name secret for a week longer. This is why Jean Jaurès' team hired her, then fired her because they had no idea she was the whistleblower, because the upper brass wanted her anonymity in place so they could sue her Charest next. It's like, right? Yeah.
Wow.
And again, James talked about this a year ago, but he didn't have any concrete evidence, so they couldn't go any further with it. He was all over it. And I remember that because he mentioned this the other day. He says, look, I talked about this a year ago, but I didn't have any concrete evidence. It's like, we're going to bring this prick down. And it's going to be done by citizens who are concerned, not by mainstream media. Concerned citizens who have had enough of the lying, the cheating, the backstabbing, the conniving, the bullshit. Look, and you and I have said it time and time again, we want a healthy, progressive, conservative party in opposition. That party does not exist. We'd like to see it come back. Yeah. Like, this is just, it's unbelievable. And yet, here it is. It's believable.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word. I can't believe it. Shit. Pardon my language, sorry. But, ooh. Wow.
I have said, how many times have I said, Poilievre is a lying, crooked, walking human fecal matter. He's a shit gibbon. He is a terrible human being who will do anything to win. I have said this time and time again about this man. They will do anything to win. They don't care who they hurt, who they harm, who they destroy, as long as they win. They want power and money and nothing more. And we're going to be part of a team of individuals across this country who are concerned citizens who do not want this to stand. This prick needs to be taken down. He needs to be removed, and that party needs to be disintegrated. Blow it up.
It does. That party has
Blow it
corruption in its DNA. I keep on saying corruption in his DNA.
It's the corruption party of Canada. And again, like I said, they're not even good at criming. They're not even good at it. Because they leave the paper trail to be found.
It's like, I don't understand it. The criming and the lying, they do it so often, you'd think they'd have it down by now.
They don't. They don't.
Oh.
And remember, when I say he's a Christo-fascist, and people go, oh, Paul, you're being ridiculous. No, I am not. They want Gilead. They want Gilead, and they will do whatever they can to get it. They will subjugate women. They will destroy. They will reverse same-sex marriage. They will eliminate a woman's right to make a medical choice about her body. They will. And I'm going to be very careful how I choose the following words in this next sentence. But those uppity members of certain segments of society will not be uppity anymore if they get into power. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that.
Mm-hmm.
They will probably outlaw drag shows. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. These are not good people. And again, let's go back to what we talked about on, was it Wednesday's show. Wednesday's show, Tuesday's show. I don't remember what day it was. Fatine, what's her name? The individual in
Grissecci,
the Dominionist. Grissecci in New Brunswick, who is a Dominionist, who they believe in the ultimate word of God, and the Bible is the book we should all live by. All of us have to live by the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
These people want Gilead. They have a coordinated effort by entering into civic politics, municipal politics, I should say, getting involved in basic civic affairs at the very, very grassroots level, starting with school boards, trustee for school boards, and then they get into positions of city councillor, then mayor, then they move on to provincial politics, eventually premier, or it's not premier in every province, but MNA, MLA, or MPP, moving into MP, and they're going to try and pursue the office of prime minister. And Pierre's in bed with all of these people. He's as crooked as a dog's hind leg. And I want to see Canadians collectively get together to put an end to this and destroy that party forever. Because they will not help anybody but themselves. Whoops, I put up the wrong link there. There we go. They literally just followed the conservative playbook from the USA. PNC Bio. You are correct. You are correct. So yeah, that's where we are today, kids. I wanted to get that into the show because because it's just such a truth bomb. You combine the video that we showed you along with that article from the Torstar that I read to you, and all the evidence is there. They torpedoed a man because they didn't like the fact that he would not play ball on their terms. He wants to change the party from the inside, as does Jean Charest, and Charest said so. And Charest he came forth and railed on about Poilievre, said he should be censured. Nobody listened. So they did everything they could to steal, and I'm saying it, to steal that leadership by torpedoing first Brown, and next they were going after Charest. So Kits, Cubs, concerned Canadians across the country, please, if you want, clip that little bit on this and share this to everyone. I'm going to create a short from this later today. I'm going to clip that bit that we just did and share it because people need to know. So please, I know this sounds self-serving. I know it sounds self-serving, but honest to goodness, for the sake of our country, for the sake of our democracy, for the sake of all that we hold sacred, of peace, order, and good government, get this message out to people. Please. Because our lives literally do depend upon it. And that's all I got to say. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee. I'll be right back, sir.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you, Mr. Grizzly, for having found that stuff about Patrick Brown. This has the potential, if our media does the thing where they smell a little bit of blood in the water and say, you know what, this actually is a juicy story, so I'm going to let go of the partisanship part of the mandate that we're supposed to do to actually dig and find this story to learn more about it. Wow. I do hope that the short attention span doesn't live on, and that the media moment doesn't just pass by with this, because this is big. It has the potential to be very big. All right, moving on from that. A quick little note, something that might be interesting. In the Conservative Party of Canada, it seems that the party leader no longer has the authority to sign or not sign nomination papers. It seems that the Michael Chong Reform Act removed that authority of power to the party leader, and it now belongs to the party's official agent. So whereas other parties where the leader says, you know, I reserve the right to not sign your nomination papers if I don't find you to be an acceptable candidate, it seems that in the Conservative Party of Canada, the leader does not have that power. It is with the party itself, which might explain the lack in candidate quality over the past couple of terms. Just a little note. I did not know that, but it seems that the Conservatives are the only party that do that at the federal level. So I don't know if you had heard of that, Mr. Grizzly.
No, I
The
missed
party
it, sir.
leader doesn't sign or not sign the nomination papers with the Conservative. The Michael Chung Reform Act removed that power from the leader.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the party machinery controls all of
Does.
that,
Okay.
not the leader.
Well,
So Harper controls that.
in honor of the juicy news we just
Ooh.
discussed.
Oh, my.
A little glass of orange juice.
Now, is that tasty $16 Conservative orange juice from the Savoy?
I have no idea. Bridget bought it.
Okay. Just wondering. It seems that in Alberta, thanks to our good friend Nate Pike, remember Preston Manning when he said he was going to do like a citizen's inquiry into what happened on COVID? Well, he didn't actually hold his own because Daniel Smith sort of came along and said, hey, instead of you raising all that money to fund that thing yourself, how about I just give you $2 million and help you with that? And you can keep $250,000 of that for yourself. Which Preston Manning said, okay, I'm down with that, which is kind of interesting because there was a time when Preston Manning was running on not accepting that type of money for this type of thing. In fact, I believe that the reason for which Preston Manning lost his job as head of the Reformicons is because Stephen Harper chose to become incensed that he wasn't pure enough because he had accepted to have some clothes expenses reimbursed. I guess when he had to go get another suit or something, which is typically a legitimate expense. But the reforms are that they were better than that, and they were better than all of us, and better than everybody else in the system, and better people, so that they would never do that. But then after a couple of years in government, well, I guess they decided they were entitled to their entitlements.
Well, imagine that.
Imagine that. Seems it's not just liberals. Yeah. Every time, get saucy. Every time I see the word champagne, I read it in Zap Brannigan's voice. Zach. Is that Zach or Zap?
Zap Brannigan. It's from Futurama.
Oh, from Futurama. Okay, yes, of course. Duh. Sorry.
No relation to Laura.
Yeah, I'm thinking Zach Gaffigan, I think.
Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah. Galifianakis. Is that his name?
Galifianakis.
Okay, then
It's Greek.
Yeah.
He's Greek. He's Greece. His family from
Then I'm mixing up a couple of comedians' names. I'm sorry. My mind.
You give me a word in English, and I will tell you how the root of that word is Greek.
Because we all know there are two kinds of people in the world: Greek and people who wish they were Greek. Now here's some Windex.
Last night, my big toe was the size of my face. I spray some Windex, gone.
You lost the toe?
Now it's normal. It's the ammonia. It's the ammonia that does it.
So it seems that he had written a report, an initial report that was like just fabrication with, doomsday scenarios, and of course the conclusion he wanted to reach. But it seems that he had to submit the final report in June. It seems he has done that, but it seems that the rest of us can't see the report until November from some unexplained reason, which is really interesting because when we look at the Public Order Emergency Commission, we got that report in how many days after the commission closed?
Mm-hmm.
So, if for the first ever invocation of the Emergencies Act ever in Canadian history, we can get a report written and seen by the public faster than Manning's fantasy imaginary report into things that probably didn't actually really happen, or at least happen as Preston believes that they did, as to how our COVID experience was so horrible. Yeah, I don't understand the delay. Now, it seems, according to Nate Pike at the breakdown, that, well, the way he describes it is citizens were asked what could have been done better to make their COVID experience more palatable, like a fruit bar, for example, he was suggesting, or something. But what could we have done to make this more comfortable for you? And I guess they were expecting Orwellian responses. And it seems that now I wasn't able to understand, because Nate speaks fast sometimes, whether or not he was saying 17.1 or 70.1. I wasn't able to understand the T or teen, but I'm going to guess it's 17, just because, and based on other context, because there might have been many number of answers possible. So I'm figuring not anyone got over 50 is what I would assume in this type of survey. So I will say 17.1% said that the majority of the response said that, well, they would have liked the Alberta response to rely more on the views of experts rather than politicians. Oops. And that 16.6% wanted more independence of the chief officer of health, which at the time was Dina Hinshaw, who people thought that Jason Kenney was handing out pieces of paper and says, I know you have your data, but this is what you're going to say, because your job depended on it. Oops. Again. 15.2% said they wanted fewer public measures. 6.8% dissented against vaccinations. There shouldn't have been any. And another 6.8%, which made Nate laugh pretty hard, had responses that were deemed by the commission, to whom they were writing, as being incoherent. So the loudmouths got the loudmouth premier to fund a citizens' inquiry into how COVID was handled by a former loudmouth aspirant to the position of prime minister. And so those people had an opportunity to say what they wanted to people that were extremely receptive, and 6.8% of them were still, with all of that on their side, incoherent. Utterly incoherent. It's like, we want to help you. We want to take your concerns that nobody wants to listen to because you're still stuck in COVID, even though the rest of us are trying to move on. And I thought the whole point was that you wanted to move on, but yet you're still stuck there and we're not. You see the problem? But these people who were convinced that they know about the Constitution and how epidemiology happens and how virology happens and how vaccines are developed, and had incoherent statements to a group of people on whom $2 million of our money was just given so that they can have a Festivus thing, and they still were deemed okay. So when you see other people go, freedom, I don't understand why that thing doesn't happen when this didn't happen and the aliens haven't landed yet. And then you got those two tectonic plates going, and I don't know, and that must mean that Trudeau did something that screwed me over somehow. People.
Comes down to this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember when you could say stuff like the earth is round or Nazis are bad and be absolutely certain everyone who heard you would agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
That time has passed.
Yeah. So, yeah. I would suspect that maybe one of the reasons for which the release of the report to the public has been delayed is because they didn't get the answers from the public that they had hoped that they were going to get. And now they need to find a way to sort of market it or reduce the impact or the weight of the responses that they didn't really want to get. So try to find a way to write the report that only mentions those results in passing so that they can focus on the other stuff. And so there's going to be a creative writing exercise
A little bit
going on that might require a little more time than if we just took the facts and straightforward reported it on them. Because we're going to have some fun with words here, find new definitions for words that already have really well-established definitions that we all agree upon.
Sheldon Cooper joining the show. Fun with flags, fun with words.
People. Not good news for the world because of climate stuff. India has decided that it is not going to export certain types of rice. There have been uneven monsoon rains that have damaged crops, and thus India is going to stop export of non-basmati, which is their best-known variety, rice. Basmati is not critical or hasn't been deemed critical for the domestic food security yet in India, so that will still be exported. But any other types of rice, non-basmati, are probably not going to be exported. They're keeping the rice in country to try to keep prices in check because price of rice has risen 12% in India due to inflation. About 20% of rice imports in total come from India. Only a small sliver of those will fall under the ban, but for other nations, they might be a little more affected by that. So that is not great. And at the same time, we still have Russia that is blowing up ports in Odessa and grain storage facilities and threatening to take out Ukrainian ships that are trying to ship grain. Meanwhile, countries in Africa, in particular, are a little nervous because of this. Ukraine says that Russia has destroyed at least 35 to 60,000 tons of wheat that was already stored. Now, Putin goes, well, I know that I'm doing this, but African nations, please don't worry whatsoever because for 7 of you, I will give 25,000 to 50,000 tons of free grain over the coming months because our crops this year are great. The problem is that Putin right now is hosting a number of leaders from African nations who would like to deepen trade and humanitarian ties with Russia. He's meeting with them in St. Petersburg. He claims that 49 delegations are in attendance, but that includes only 17 heads of state, which is fewer than half the number who attended a similar meeting in 2019. The reason for which these nations are meeting with Putin is that he is pretty much riding on the fumes, or still coasting on the fumes of the time when the Soviet Union supported the anti-apartheid movement in South Africa. The head of the African Union is pressuring Putin to try to find a resolution so as to prevent hunger. The UN Secretary General is pushing Russia to unblock Ukrainian ports. And of course, well, bad boy Vlad says, hey, no, it's like food. It's like, food? What food? Nah, you don't need to worry about food. Hey, look over here. I have some free grain for some of you nations over here. Just, don't worry about that. Come on, Satan, let's party. Now, while all of this is going on, there's also a coup happening in Niger.
No,
yes.
not that kind.
Now, when the president of Niger was duly elected in a democratic election, they tried a coup then and it didn't work. Now they tried it again. They're not sure if it's going to work yet, but it seems that there have been 7 nations in Western and Central Africa since I think 2020, I might be wrong. 2020, where there have been coups. 7. And so far, the one in Niger is a bloodless coup. But in Burkina Faso and in Mali, where armies also overthrew the governments, both have called upon Russia and the Wagner Group to come into their countries and help with security.
Speaking of the Wagner Group, did you know that Trump wanted to form his own?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, you have Mali, you have Burkina Faso, and there is instability in Chad and Sudan at the moment. It seems basically that the militaries are overthrowing their duly elected governments and then running to Russia and saying, we'll let you increase your sphere of influence here if you provide us some security guarantees by sending the Wagner people over. And yeah, not good. Niger stands to lose millions in military aid and assistance by France and the USA if this coup holds and does lead to the military getting closer to Russia. So you start to see how all these things are intertwined, right? Create a food shortage in certain African nations so that the military then proceeds to overthrow the government for not running things competently, after which Putin rolls in and says, hey, buddies, need a little help maintaining that new position that you just acquired?
I'll help you with that.
Shady.
Oh, yeah.
He's a busy boy, especially for a boy who's really, really, really nervous. By the way, he's reorganizing the military. He's having generals arrested and, taking basically Homeland Security and making it a personal protection force. And, yeah.
He knows the walls are closing in on him, and for good reason, right?
He really knows. Mr. Grizzly, I would like to end on something good and positive. I can't find anything right now in the notes. I got some funny stuff. DeSantis apparently, after announcing that he was cutting his staff by a third, also floated the idea of nominating RFK Jr. as head of the CDC.
Well, I've got something for you here.
But here's the funny part, right? Not only is this, he got side-checked into the boards by the left because really a vaccine denier as head of the CDC, but then Mike Pence came in from the right and slagged him again because RFK Jr. apparently is pro-choice. So
yeah, that what?
He apparently DeSantis was neck and neck with Trump in January, and now he's trailing him by 35 points. So,
nuance, people.
Time of death? You want to call it?
I got a good one for you. You're going to like this. MSNBC hosts ridicule male conservative meltdown over the Barbie movie after colossal success. Let me just put this over here where I can read it a little bit better. Ahead of the release of the Barbie movie, the far right invented a conspiracy that the film promoted Chinese communism and other reasons for outrage. Other conservatives, like Senator Ted Cruz, said it should be the next Bud Light, a campaign that ended with the beer company pulling back from its campaign targeting LGBTQ customers. Extremist Ben Shapiro claimed he has destroyed Barbie, said MSNBC host Mehdi Hassan. Neither succeeded, as the film's opening weekend pulled in a record $155 million in the United States alone. That was last weekend. Conservatives who claim to be the guardians of pop culture, spent 72 minutes attacking the film as a cancer and man-hating feminist propaganda. Other men were triggered by the idea of Ken being a beta, which goes back to the actual history of the doll itself, which was treated as an accessory with no other identity other than being Barbie's boyfriend. Even one female MAGA fan cited it as an indicator of why Hollywood was flailing. These are grown men losing their minds over a movie about a doll. Hassan continued, what has happened to the conservative movement? There was a time when conservatives had substantive things to say about taxes, regulation, defense, and foreign policy. Now it's Barbie this, Dr. Seuss that, Bud Light, Mr. Potato Head, the skin color of the Little Mermaid. It's ridiculous. It is childish. It is pretty pathetic. Actually, is it not? Remember when there was a period when they had an outrage over M&Ms? You're totally right. It is beyond pathetic, and honestly, it's worse. It's not just, the desperation of people like Cruz and Shapiro to inject themselves into every aspect of pop culture and somehow make it a point of friction between the right and the left. It's that they always do it with this arrogance, a sense that they somehow speak for the masses. They have the pulse of what Americans really care about or what they want. Everyone else is out of touch. Ted Cruz and Ben Shapiro, they know what's up. He went on to cite the box office numbers revealing Barbie was the top movie of 2023 so far.
Yeah. I'm reading some here. They call it Barbenheimer fever because
Yes.
Barbie and Oppenheimer opened at the same time. After 5 days of release, the inextricably linked Barbie and Oppenheimer have reached notable theatrical milestones, with ticket sales for Greta Gerwig's Fantasia romp crossing 200 million and Christopher Nolan's somber 3-hour biopic Oppenheimer surpassing 100 million. I guess there might be upset that the movie about white man researching the bomb to take care didn't do as well as the movie with lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of pink. Apparently, the movie required so much pink that there was a shortage of pink paint for a while.
And singing and dancing.
So yeah, maybe it's just too much pink, right? It's just too gay for the Republicans. That's a lot of pink. I don't know if they had a meltdown at Pride when we had all 6 colors of the rainbow. This is just pink. They really must not be able to handle it.
But
Barbie
I'm
added
the cuck
another
for having pronouns in my name.
Yes. Barbie added another 26 million on Tuesday, bringing its North American tally to 214.1. At the domestic box office, Barbie has already taken down John Wick Chapter 4 as the 7th highest grossing movie of the year and will soon outstrip Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp as the 6th. It's absolutely incredible. Globally, Barbie has broken $500 million at the global box office already. Yeah. Barbie also smashed The Dark Knight's 15-year-old box office record.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. It's like these beta cuck soy boy so-called Republican alpha males.
Yeah, I wasn't interested in seeing this movie when it.
Oh no,
when
I have to see it now.
First.
I talked to Bridget. I said I want to go see it just to piss these assholes off.
But before this came out, like this, when the Dua Lipa video, because she sings the I guess the lead song from the soundtrack, I guess, and they're just all they're all dancing in their groovy outfits, and then she's like, "Hey guys, have you ever thought of dying?"
Yeah.
And nobody knows what she's talking about. And I'm thinking, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
If Barbie's going through a midlife crisis, I have to see this because that was a twist I was not expecting.
Well, and one of the taglines is, if you love Barbie, this movie is for you. If you hate Barbie, this movie is for you. I'm like, oh, I think this is great.
That's what we say about the show.
Yeah.
If you love politics, we're the show for you. If you hate politics, we're the show for you.
Hate watch us.
So yeah, Barbie fever. There you go. I think I might actually go play with my first Barbie.
Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Yeah. Or come on, Barbie, destroy the party.
Well.
Oh, man. And you know what? It's really interesting because we're going through a period where we're having movies about things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like we have Blackberry, the movie, and Lego movie, and this, so now we have a Barbie movie.
Blackberry was good, by the way. I watched it. It's really good.
I haven't seen it yet. So, yeah, I guess I can't wait for the Highliner Fish Sticks movie.
We'll there's a Polly Pocket. There's a Polly Pocket movie coming out soon.
Really?
Yeah, starring Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter from Emily in Paris.
Okay,
yes, Polly Pocket. She's going to be Polly Pocket. Yeah. I shit you not. And it's going to be directed by Lena Dunham.
Yes.
I'm like,
yeah, that's going to have an edge.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it.
Polly Pocket might not be the same Polly Pocket we remember when Lena Dunham gets through with her. She's not known for presenting stereotypical basic characters.
I have some song lyrics for you. Regis sent me.
Okay.
I'm a Barbie girl in Oppenheimer's world. Nuclear fission. It's a vision. You can touch my hair, split atoms everywhere. Infatuation. I destroy creation. Come on, Barbie. Let's become death.
In fact, I was when you said infatuation, I thought something about radiation was next.
You would think. Either way, that's pretty good. Thanks, Ree. Appreciate that.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that was good. That's a little later. That's a little later.
We had to end on a light note. It is
Helps us
Friday
make
after all.
this-
And
oh my God.
we've delivered a lot of heavy stuff today.
Wow. Yeah.
So let's go out on a happy, joyous note. Barbie, who is making all the conservative alpha males lose their shit because they can't handle the idea of a strong, independent woman.
Who's fictional? Again.
Not even real.
Again, like the problem they had with the Little Mermaid is that a mermaid, it's not real that a mermaid could be black. But mermaids, though, they had no problem with.
And do you remember that the entire story is an allegory for a gay love affair?
Just
like, guys, you out yourself so damn often. These are the same guys who got mad at brownies changing their names.
Right.
Why are you so interested in things that involve little girls?
And
that's very telling.
And that the green M&M now is wearing sneakers rather than heels.
I'm like, what the
I'll
go on a diatribe. Let's not do that. Let's just wrap it up and start our weekend, shall we?
When you have no ideas of your own,
yeah.
This is what you do. Well, kids, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Daily Beaver Podcast because we really love making this for you. Remember that sharing is caring and word of mouth is priceless, so let your peeps and your poops know about us because democracy is something that you do. Again, self-serving, but right. You're not happy with the anti-gay stuff. You're not happy with the anti-woke stuff. You're not happy with the anti-immigration stuff. You're not happy with the anti-woman stuff. You're not happy with the anti-being happy stuff. Because can we lay off the miserableism?
And again, to stay active, I am going to create a short out of our little clip about Patrick Brown, and I'm going to DM a few people on Twitter if you could share it wide and far, because we need to get this message out to people. People need to understand how crooked that. Anyway, I don't want to. People need to understand.
The kid's already wishing you a great untethered weekend.
Thank you.
If you really like this podcast, you can find us on the Crier Media Network as well as all Beaver Grizzly friendly platforms. Stars and reviews are appreciated, so make them rain down on us, kiddies. We want to be soaking wet with reviews and stars and rain. Don't go there. I'm actually being very, very, very appropriate today.
Drinking my juice.
Naughty. I'm not being naughty today. We'd like to hear from you. Reach us on our Facebook at True North Eager Beaver, Twitter at True Eager, or by email at truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. You can subscribe to us via our pod page. And you go to podpage.
Well, let's stop there for a sec.
Okay.
No, on the pod page thing, and I'm about to tell you why.
Okay.
So it's been a free service up till now, and we're providing all this content for them. But they're like, "Oh, your free service ends in 3 days, and then you'll have to go to a paid." No, I'm not doing that. They want $16 a month. No, I think we're gonna close that down because I'm tired of having to pay for so damn much just to keep this running, and I'm bleeding cash right now. So it's like I'm gonna have to shut it down because I can't afford to pay for it. It's just one more thing. I mean, I already pay for a plethora of services so we can do this. I can't pay for another one. So I think the pod page will be shutting it down probably in the next couple of days. I'm going to see what they do to our free version. If they say, no, you can't have access to it, then it's like, okay, I'm just going to close it all together.
Mm-hmm. Kit Saucy asks, do we have a Patreon? No, not yet. Because often with Patreons, you do things like, well, it's more subscription based. And, then you have to have like advertisers, and then you remove the ads for Patreon, stuff like that. And we're not there yet. We're not there yet.
We can start a subscription base on this channel soon, though. where we could create additional content if you want to subscribe, and it's like for, I don't know, $2 a month. I don't know. We're not there yet, but that is an option. And once we hit a certain number of subscribers, they have what they call, I forget what it is, but you're able to, you can make a donation right while we're on, right through YouTube right away.
Yeah. So we're not, as much as we do have the best kits and audience and all of podcasting,
we really do.
We don't have enough members yet to make Patreon. We think that the quality of the product is good enough that we could charge subscription, but we opted intentionally for the tips model. So at first, until we build enough base, and and rather than asking people to pay X number of dollars a year, and do you like, and you'll get what you get. Just, we have a proven product out there, and if you like it, then encourage us with a donation through coffee. So we that's the one that we've adopted for now. Maybe later on,
yes,
we'll change something if we get like really big. But right now, the tip function seems to be the best. Yes, it's less stable and less predictable because you all tip when you want to, and not on a regular schedule like Patreon or something. Which
I think is the regularly scheduled stuff is like, we're asking. I don't feel comfortable with asking that people to take on an additional financial burden when I'm saying I have to drop some. You know what I mean? That's why coffee, you tip when you can. We thank you for it.
Yeah. There's fees because of the cages now. You're all so wild. How much does it cost, do you think, to keep all of you in cages?
Angry Speedo Man rants will be coming soon on OnlyFans.
Okay. So as you can say, if you want to help us, word of mouth helps. More people listening, the better. Subscribing to our podcast.
Angry Speedo Man rants.
Yes, while we still have it. But subscribing to our True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube channel, last I checked, we were just 2 away from 300. So come on, kiddies. Push us over the edge. That helps us out big time. So make like Kit Elaine and smash those buttons. We can't do this without your kind and generous support. As we mentioned, you have been in the first half of the month very, very, very generous to us kits this month. So thank you very much. That has helped a lot. If you feel that we've done a particularly good show, that we've given you a good month of shows, if you're watching, you can scan the QR code by Mr. Grizzly's head there, and that will bring you to the True North Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where our staff, Caesar and Cafe and Chocolat Chaud and Guinness, all get together to give us incredible ideas and motivation to be able to produce, write, market, and deliver this show to you. So if you would like us to keep our staff happy and keep ourselves happy in the process. Hello, staff. We need to keep them happy. Then if you are listening, please scan that QR code. If you're watching, scan the QR code. And if you're listening, use your voice command or your lovely digits on your finger to go to lovely digits on your hand. Because if you have fingers on your fingers, you need to go see a doctor.
Yeah, there's something.
You need to get that checked out. But digits on your hands, those beautiful, gorgeous hands that I'm sure you are soaking in palm olive and they're super soft and all that kind of stuff. Then you take those and you enter coffee, ko-fi.com/eagerbeaver, all in one word, lowercase letters. And that's where you can make your donation. Yes, we're doing this shameless self-promotion. So anything that you can give, if you're able to give, great. If you're not, trust us, your feedback, the gift of your attention, any word of mouth you give, any retweets, all appreciated, all helps.
Equally as valued too. We value it just as much. We really do.
We really do. This is serious. Again, my background is strategic communications marketing. I know that it is. This is not me blowing sunshine up your butt. This is the strategic communications guy telling you it really does help.
It does.
And it's just as valuable a contribution, right? When you can't donate money, if you can donate time or help, just as valuable. Just as valuable.
Absolutely.
So, please.
Well, and to that, sir, I want to say thank you to everybody who send me links in DMs that I could occasionally
Yes.
because we try and take in as much as we can. And sometimes we can get to the links, sometimes we can't, but we really do greatly appreciate you sending us stuff, because we try and siphon up as much information as we can, but there's only so many hours in the day.
Well, like today, the refining that clip on Patrick Brown, I did not see it, and I did not have the news on the by-elections in Ontario.
Yeah.
So, and everything that I listened to, and trust me, I listen to a lot of, when I have pretty much any time in my free time, if I'm not doing something for my sweetie, if I'm not cooking the next meal or playing tennis or curling or rehearsing for a play, I am pretty much listening to podcasts.
And it was Tavi G who sent me the Pierre Poilievre video, or the Patrick Brown video, by the way.
Yeah.
So
there are stuff that we are going to miss, absolutely. So when you send us stuff, it really does help.
Really does.
You kits contribute a lot to our programming. Please, kit correspondence. Yeah. We're not adverse to that idea. We're not adverse to that idea. From the Beaver Lodge, this is your eager beaver saying, until next time, dear kids, it can be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourself. Wish me that somebody takes me up on my offer for a tennis match today. So far, nobody has. I won again yesterday. So 2 in a row. Second time this year I have a streak. Woo! Mr. Grizzly, words of wisdom, please.
Well, I don't know if they're words of wisdom so much as it is.
Oh, he switched mics.
Coming soon. Angry Speedo Man rants delivered in a soft voice until I decide to raise it up and yell at people, at which case I will go from this mic to this mic, because, I don't want to arouse you too much. Just enough, not too much, just enough arousal. And at the same token, get your blood boiling as you direct the rant towards anybody you feel needs it. That will be a paid service. Angry Speedo Man Rants, the new ASMR channel, coming soon from yours truly on OnlyFans.
Arouse, really? And you gave me those discouraged looks yesterday? Really?
Come on.
There are no words to express how much I love you right now. Mr. Grizzly, please roll. You have made me so proud. Roll the credits.
Outstanding.
Pop them up.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, your uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community and forum. And The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from fresh farm ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
There we go. Kit Lindam, we need an outlet until Casual Friday comes back. I guess so. Just a little update. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
please.
go ahead. No, I got an Easter egg, so just go ahead.
Okay. Updates from the World Aquatics Swimming Championships. Kylie Mass has qualified for the final in the women's 200 backstroke today. So this morning
Josh Leando dropped out of the 50.
He dropped out of the 50?
Yes, because it's 30 minutes before the 100, so he wants to go all in and win the 100.
Yes, because he won his semifinal last night. So I'm thinking that the 100 is coming up later today. In the 200 breaststroke final, Kelsey Lauren Wog, who we talked about, advanced to the final. She finished 8th in the final, but I believe this might be her first World Championships.
Could be.
So already making a final.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fantastic as well.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Mr. Grizzly, I don't think I have anything else. I'm just looking to see, but if you got an Easter egg, please put it up there.
Well, I do. I have something for you. So our friend Mark Bourrie wrote this book called Big Men Fear Me. And he tweeted out earlier, he says, come on, folks, we got to do something to get my book on the top of the charts on Amazon, because right now it's dominated by Tamara Leach. I'm like, oh, God, that's horrible. So I'm trying to promote his book. It's a great book. I bought it. I bought it at his, he released it at a bookstore up the street. So I have a signed copy, and we had a nice little chat while I was there. So when I read the book, I sat down and read it. It's a great book. And I decided that I would narrate a passage. So this is the foreword from the book. I narrated it. It's only 3 minutes, but this will give you an idea of this book, and we're trying to get it to the top of the charts. And he said, by the way, if we can hit the top of the charts, I'm going to make a very large donation to a local charity. So Mark's going to do some good. This is me reading this back when my beard was very short. Hello. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul, and I'm going to narrate the foreword from the book Big Men Fear Me by Mark Bourrie. I'm not narrating the entire thing. I'm just going to give you a few paragraphs. The Forgotten Man. This is a book about a man who many people, including those at the center of economic and political power, expected to be Prime Minister of Canada. Instead, he died mysteriously when he was just 47 years old. You've probably never heard of George McCulloch because he's been deliberately erased from Canada's history. Toronto columnist Robert Fulford called his biography one of the great unwritten books in Canadian history. Well, here's his biography. It will be up to you to decide whether it's great. So who was George McCulloch, and why should you care about him? George McCulloch was a media rock star. He was the most powerful and dynamic man in Canadian publishing. He was also a giant in the nation's sports world. He was co-owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Toronto Argonauts, and had one of the best horse racing stables in Canada. McCulloch moved easily among the elites of the Western world, and though seen as a flawed man by those at the very top of Anglosphere governments, was feared and respected. A poor boy from London, Ontario, who dropped out of school in grade 9, McCulloch founded the Globe and Mail in the depth of the Great Depression when he was just 31 years old. The Globe and the Mail and Empire had been around for decades before McCulloch came on the scene, but they were moribund newspapers that were dying of bad management. He hammered them together and made them the country's most powerful political newspaper. And he deliberately gave the paper its strange name because its initials were, still are, GM, the same as his own. McCulloch worked his way up from nothing by hiking the back roads of rural Ontario, selling newspapers during the terrible recession that followed the end of World War I and the 1918 flu pandemic. While he rose from those dusty roads to a reporting job in the newsroom of the Globe, he dragged his own ball and chain. As a young man, he was an alcoholic. Booze masked the fact that he was also bipolar, and that turned out to be the thing that stopped him from becoming a national politician. In the end, it was probably mental illness that killed him. And there you go. That's the foreword to a spectacular book from our good friend Mark Bourrie. If you can pick it up, please do so. Sorry, I'm getting sound coming from somewhere and it's driving me crazy. If you can pick it up, please do so. We'd like to knock Tamara Leach's book off the top of the Amazon charts because, come on, people, really. Really.
All right. And just before we leave, Hello, Kit Plain Powered, Kit Glenna.
Thanks for
I
joining.
think Kit Glenna might be a new name for us. I don't remember seeing it before, but yeah, welcome to the Beaver Lodge. Lovely to see you here. All right, kids, have a wonderful weekend. Love you.
I'll see you Monday.